I am 63 years old, and I've just discovered that the last 30 years of my life have been a lie. My name is David Morrison. I have two beautiful children, or at least I thought they were mine. Sarah is 28, a pediatric nurse with my wife's green eyes and what I always believed was my stubborn determination. Michael is 25, a software engineer who I taught to throw a baseball, to drive a car, to be a man. But before you hear how I lost everything, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. And if this story grips you the way it's gripped my soul for the past 6 months, hit that like button and subscribe. You're going to want to follow this journey to its end. Trust me, you won't believe where it goes, because what I'm about to tell you isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about discovering that your entire identity, everything you thought you knew about yourself, was built on a foundation of lies, so elaborate, so carefully constructed, that it took 3 decades to crack. Let me take you back to where this nightmare began. March 15th, a Tuesday. The kind of unremarkable day that changes your life forever. I was sitting in Dr. Patterson's office for a routine physical. I'm a careful man, always have been. Annual checkups, dental cleanings every 6 months, oil changes every 3,000 miles. It's just who I am. My father died of a heart attack at 55, so I take my health seriously. Dr. Patterson had been my physician for 12 years. Good man, golf buddy. I trusted him. David, he said, flipping through my chart. Everything looks great. Blood pressure's excellent for a man your age. Cholesterol's under control, but I want to run a complete metabolic panel, just to be thorough. You mentioned some fatigue. I shrugged. Nothing major, just feeling run down lately. Work's been intense. I ran a commercial HVAC company, Morrison Climate Solutions. Built it from nothing 28 years ago. 3 locations, 42 employees, and revenue that let me give my kids everything I never had growing up. Let's just check everything, Dr. Patterson said. Iron levels, vitamin D, thyroid function. The full workup. I rolled up my sleeve. The nurse, I remember her name was Cheryl, wore too much perfume that smelled like fake vanilla. Tied the rubber tourniquet around my arm. The needle slid in. Dark red blood filled 3 vials. I watched it flow, not knowing I was watching my entire world drain away with it. I need you to understand what my life looked like then. Because the contrast between before and after, it's like standing in sunlight one moment and being plunged into a cave the next. My wife Jennifer, we'd been married for 31 years. High school sweethearts. I was 17 when I first saw her in the cafeteria, laughing with her friends, her blonde hair catching the light through the window. I was the guy who worked at his uncle's garage after school. Grease under my fingernails, not much to offer. She was the girl who shouldn't have given me a second look. But she did. We got married 3 weeks after graduation. Everyone said we were crazy. Too young. It'd never last. Her parents, especially her father, made it clear I wasn't good enough for their daughter. I spent 31 years proving them wrong. Or so I thought. Jennifer worked as a real estate agent now, successful in her own right. We had a beautiful home in Maple Ridge, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, a kitchen she'd renovated 3 years ago with granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. I'd built the deck myself, cedar planks I'd carefully stained every other summer. Sarah came over for dinner every Sunday with her husband Marcus. Michael lived downtown but called twice a week, sometimes more. We were close! A real family. I remember that particular Sunday. March 17th, 2 days after the blood test. Sarah brought homemade lasagna, her specialty. We sat around the dining room table, the one Jennifer and I had picked out for our 20th anniversary, and talked about nothing important. Sarah was thinking about trying for a baby. Michael had gotten a promotion. Jennifer kept refilling my wine glass. She smiled at me from across the table, the same smile she'd given me for 3 decades. I smiled back. I didn't know then that every smile was a lie, that every "I love you" had been a performance, that the woman sitting across from me had been deceiving me since before our children were born. 4 days later, I was at the office, reviewing a bid for a hospital renovation project, when my cell phone rang. Dr. Patterson's office. Mr. Morrison? Can you come in this afternoon? Dr. Patterson needs to discuss your test results. Something in the nurse's voice. a careful flatness. Too neutral. Is something wrong? I asked. Dr. Patterson would prefer to discuss it in person. My mind immediately went to cancer, heart disease, diabetes. The fear was sharp and immediate. I was only 63. I had so much left to do. Sarah's wedding. No, wait, she was already married. But grandchildren. I wanted to meet my grandchildren. I canceled my afternoon meetings and drove to the clinic. Spring was trying to break through. Patches of snow still lingered in the shaded areas, but the sun was warm through my windshield. I remember thinking that if it was bad news, at least I'd had a good life. A great life, really. I had no idea how much I was about to lose. Doctor Patterson's face told me everything before he spoke. He looked uncomfortable. Actually uncomfortable. Not the practiced sympathy of a doctor delivering bad news. He'd done that before, told me about my father's final heart attack, and he'd been calm, professional. This was different. He looked confused, troubled. David, sit down. I sat. Your blood work came back. Everything's fine. Your heart, your cholesterol, your liver function. You're healthy. Relief flooded through me. Oh, thank God. The way your office called, I thought. But there's something unusual. He paused, looked down at the paper in his hands. Your blood type is AB negative. I waited. I had no idea why this mattered. David, do you know your children's blood types? No. Should I? He slid a piece of paper across the desk. It was Sarah's medical record, from when she'd had her appendix out 3 years ago. I'd been listed as her emergency contact. Sarah is type O positive, he said quietly. I stared at the paper. Okay. And Michael. I pulled his records from when he broke his arm playing soccer. He's type O positive as well. So they have the same blood type. That's not unusual for siblings, right? Doctor Patterson's eyes met mine. David. It's genetically impossible for a parent with AB negative blood to have a child with O positive blood. Impossible. O positive means both parents must have at least one O allele. AB negative means you have one A and one B allele. No O. The words hung in the air between us. I heard them. I understood them individually. But together, they made no sense. I don't understand what you're telling me. I'm telling you, he hesitated. I'm telling you that based on your blood type and your children's blood types, you cannot be their biological father. The room tilted. Actually tilted. I gripped the arms of the chair. That's not possible. I've run the test twice. I had the lab confirm it. Your blood type is definitely AB negative. Then the kids' tests are wrong. Mix-ups happen, right? Hospital records get confused. But even as I said it, I knew. Sarah's blood type had been critical during her surgery. They'd needed to type and cross-match for the transfusion. Michael's had been verified when he'd been rushed to the ER after his soccer accident. The tests weren't wrong. My voice came out as a whisper. What are you saying? I'm saying that biologically speaking, Sarah and Michael are not your children. I left Dr. Patterson's office in a daze. The spring sunshine felt wrong. Too bright, too warm. The world was exactly the same as it had been an hour ago. But I was different. Everything was different. I sat in my truck in the parking lot, staring at my hands on the steering wheel. These hands had held my children when they were born, had taught them to ride bikes, had walked Sarah down the aisle. But they weren't my children. The question that kept circling my mind, getting louder and louder until it was the only thing I could hear. If they're not mine, whose are they? I sat in that parking lot for 47 minutes. I know because I watched the digital clock on my dashboard tick forward, each minute feeling like an hour. 12:34, 12:30 IB, 12:30 X. Time kept moving, indifferent to the fact that my entire life had just collapsed. If you're just joining us, my name is David Morrison. I'm 63 years old, and I've just learned that my 2 adult children, the kids I raised, loved, sacrificed everything for, aren't biologically mine. The question I kept asking myself and over, how is this possible? There are moments in your life when your brain simply refuses to process what it's being told. It's like a circuit breaker flipping. The information is too big, too devastating, so your mind just stops. I started with the obvious explanations, the ones that didn't destroy everything. Hospital mix-up. It happens, right? Maybe Jennifer and I took home the wrong baby. Both times. What are the odds? But it's possible. Except, no. Sarah looked exactly like Jennifer. Same green eyes, same delicate nose, same way of tilting her head when she was thinking. Michael had Jennifer's smile, her mother's chin. They looked like her. They looked like my wife. They just didn't look like me. And I'd always noticed that, hadn't I? Made jokes about it. They got all their mother's good looks, thank God. Everyone laughed. It was a running gag at family gatherings. Now that joke felt different. Darker. Maybe I was sterile. Maybe Jennifer had used a sperm donor and never told me. That happened too, didn't it? Couples struggling with infertility. The wife not wanting to hurt her husband's pride, so she gets pregnant through artificial insemination and just never mentions it. But we'd gotten pregnant so easily. Both times. We weren't even trying with Sarah. She was a surprise, conceived 3 months after our wedding. Michael came along 3 years later. Planned this time, but it only took 2 months. No fertility problems. No struggle. No reason to need a donor. Which left only one explanation. The one I couldn't let myself think about. An affair. I don't remember driving home. I must have, because suddenly I was pulling into our driveway. That cedar deck I'd built with my own hands stretching across the back of the house, and I had no memory of the route I'd taken. Jennifer's Mercedes was in the garage. She was home early. I sat in my truck staring at our house. We'd bought it 26 years ago, when Michael was born, and we'd outgrown the starter home. I'd replaced the roof myself, painted the trim every 3 years, fixed the foundation crack in the basement. Every inch of this place had my work in it. But maybe none of it had my blood. The front door opened. Jennifer stood there in yoga pants and a loose sweater, her blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. She was 53 years old and still beautiful. Still the girl I'd fallen in love with at 17. Or was she? Had I ever really known her at all? David, why are you just sitting there? It's cold out. I got out of the truck. My legs felt strange, like they weren't quite under my control. You're home early, I said. My voice sounded normal. Amazing how you can sound normal when your world is ending. Closing got pushed to tomorrow. I thought I'd make dinner. How was your day? How was my day? How was my day? Fine, I heard myself say. Busy! I followed her into the house. The smell of garlic and tomatoes filled the kitchen. She was making pasta sauce, her specialty. Everything was normal. Everything was exactly as it had always been. Except I was different. I was seeing everything through new eyes. I couldn't confront her. Not yet. Not without more information. If I was wrong, if there was some explanation I hadn't thought of, I'd destroy our marriage with an accusation I could never take back. If I was right, I needed to know everything before I moved. Who the father was, how long it had been going on, whether she knew I wasn't the biological father, or if somehow she didn't know either. That last thought was absurd, but I clung to it anyway. Maybe she'd been assaulted. Maybe she'd had a drunken one-night stand and genuinely didn't remember. Maybe, no, I was lying to myself. 2 children, 3 years apart. That wasn't a one-time mistake. That was something else entirely. That night, Jennifer fell asleep next to me like she had for 31 years. I lay there in the dark, listening to her breathe, and felt like I was sleeping next to a stranger. I thought about our wedding night. She'd been nervous, sweet, a virgin, like me, or so I'd believed. We'd stumbled through it together, awkward and earnest and in love. Had that been real, or was I already being deceived even then? The next morning, I told Jennifer I had meetings all day. Instead, I drove to the county records office. Birth certificates, that's where I'd start. Sarah Elizabeth Morrison, born July 3rd, 1997. Father, David Morrison. Mother, Jennifer Morrison. Michael James Morrison. Born October 12, 2000. Father, David Morrison. Mother, Jennifer Morrison. I stared at those certificates. My name, right there in black and white. Legal documents declaring me the father. But biology didn't lie. I took photos of both certificates with my phone. Then I drove to the hospital where they'd been born. Mercy General, now part of a larger healthcare system. The records clerk was sympathetic when I explained I needed my children's birth records for insurance purposes. She pulled up the files. I can give you copies, but there's not much here beyond what's on the birth certificates. Blood types, APGAR scores, weight and length. Standard stuff. Blood types would be helpful, I said, my heart pounding. She printed the pages. I waited until I was back in my truck to look. Sarah, type O positive. Michael, type O positive. Both listed Jennifer's blood type, a positive. Both listed mine, O positive. But that was wrong. I was AB negative. Dr. Patterson had run the test twice. Someone had falsified these records. Someone had put down a blood type for me that made genetic sense with O-positive children. My hands started shaking. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't an affair that Jennifer was unaware had consequences. This was a cover-up. I needed to think. I drove to Riverside Park, the place where Jennifer and I used to take the kids when they were little. I sat on a bench overlooking the water, trying to piece together what I knew. Someone had falsified my blood type on my children's birth records. That meant someone knew I wasn't the biological father. That meant Jennifer knew. She had to know. But who else knew? Who had helped her cover it up? My phone rang. I looked at the screen. Brian Caldwell. Brian, my best friend for 35 years. We'd met in shop class senior year of high school, bonded over rebuilding a '69 Mustang. He'd been my best man at the wedding, Sarah's godfather. He and his wife Diane had been at every birthday party, every graduation, every holiday dinner. I stared at his name on the screen. Brian was a doctor, an OB-GYN. Brian had delivered both of my children. The phone kept ringing in my hand. 4 rings. 5. Then it went to voicemail. Hey Dave, it's Brian. Just checking in. Haven't talked to you in a few days. Call me back, buddy. Maybe grab a beer this weekend? His voice sounded exactly the same as always. Friendly, casual, the voice of my best friend, or the voice of my children's father. Once the thought entered my mind, I couldn't get it out. Brian and Jennifer. Had there been signs? Had I been blind? I thought back to when Jennifer got pregnant with Sarah. We'd only been married 3 months. I'd been working 70-hour weeks trying to get my business off the ground, often coming home after Jennifer was already asleep. Brian was around a lot back then. He'd just finished his residency, had irregular hours. He'd stop by to check on Jennifer when I was working late. Just making sure she's okay, he'd said. First pregnancy can be tough. I'd been grateful. Grateful that my best friend was looking after my wife. Had he been doing more than that? And then, Michael. Jennifer had been so certain she wanted a second child. Sarah needs a sibling, she'd insisted. I'd been hesitant. Money was tight. The business was demanding. But Jennifer had been determined. Michael was born 9 months later. Brian had been there for that delivery too. I remembered standing in the delivery room, holding Jennifer's hand while Brian worked between her legs. He'd looked up at one point, met my eyes and smiled. You're about to be a father again, Dave. Congratulations. Had that smile been genuine? Or had there been something else behind it? Guilt. Satisfaction. I thought about all the family photos over the years. Holiday cards, birthday parties. Brian was in so many of them. Uncle Brian, the kids called him. Always around. Always part of the family. Always there. But there was someone else I needed to consider. Someone who'd been even more present than Brian. Jennifer's sister, Carol. Carol was 3 years older than Jennifer, worked as a nurse practitioner. She'd been at both deliveries too. Jennifer had wanted her there for support. Carol had access to medical records. Carol knew doctors, lab technicians, hospital administrators. If someone had falsified those birth records, Carol could have done it. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through old photos. There was one from Sarah's christening. Jennifer holding the baby, me standing next to her beaming like an idiot. Brian on one side, Carol on the other. Everyone smiling. I zoomed in on Brian's face, then Carol's, then Jennifer's. Did they know? All 3 of them. Was I surrounded by conspirators at my own daughter's christening? Or was I losing my mind, seeing betrayal where there was only innocent friendship and family loyalty? I needed proof. Real proof, not speculation and paranoia. I needed DNA tests. That night I lay awake next to Jennifer, forming my plan. I couldn't just ask Sarah and Michael for DNA tests. They'd want to know why. They'd tell Jennifer. Whatever web of lies existed, it would close up before I could untangle it. I needed to be subtle, careful. Sarah's hairbrush. Michael's apartment. He had a bathroom I could access, grab a toothbrush. I needed samples with their DNA. And I needed the biological father's DNA, too. If it was Brian, I'd need something of his. The thought made me sick. Testing my best friend to see if he was my children's father. But I had to know. Jennifer stirred next to me, rolling over. Her hand found mine in the dark, her fingers intertwining with my fingers the way they had for 31 years. "Can't sleep?" she murmured. "Just thinking about work," I lied. Love you, David. Love you, too." The words felt like ash in my mouth, because I did love her. Even now, even with everything I suspected, I still loved her. 31 years of love doesn't evaporate in a few days. But love and truth aren't the same thing, and I needed the truth more than I needed my comfortable lies. Sunday dinner. The tradition continued like clockwork. Sarah arrived at 5:30 with Marcus, carrying a casserole dish. Michael showed up 10 minutes later, apologizing for being late. Traffic from downtown. I watched them, really watched them, studying their faces, their mannerisms, looking for any trace of me. Michael had Jennifer's smile. Sarah had her cheekbones. But what did they have from their father? Who did they take after? Not me. I could see it now, couldn't I? Or was I just seeing what I was looking for? "Dad, you okay?" Sarah was looking at me with concern. "You're staring." "Sorry, honey. Just thinking how beautiful you are. Got your mother's looks." "Thank God for that," Michael joked. "No offense, Dad." We all laughed. Normal family banter. Everything was normal, except I had Sarah's hairbrush in my jacket pocket, snagged from the bathroom while she was helping Jennifer set the table. A few strands of blonde hair tangled in the bristles. Sample 1 acquired. After dinner, while Jennifer and Sarah were loading the dishwasher, Michael and I stood on the deck I'd built. The evening air was cool, spring still fighting with the last remnants of winter. "Dad, can I ask you something?" Michael's voice was serious. My heart stopped. "Of course. Did you and Mom ever, were there ever problems when we were kids? What kind of problems?" "I don't know. I was talking to Sarah the other day, and we were remembering stuff from when we were little. You worked so much back then. You were always gone. And Mom, she seemed lonely sometimes." The words hit me like a physical blow. "Why are you asking me this now?" Michael shrugged, uncomfortable. "No reason. Just thinking about my own future. Marcus wants Sarah to stay home when they have kids, but Sarah wants to keep working. I just wondered how you and Mom handled it." "We made it work," I said. My voice sounded hollow. "Yeah." Michael was quiet for a moment. "Uncle Brian was around a lot, though, wasn't he? Back then. He's your godfather. He wanted to be involved." "Right. Yeah." Michael took a sip of his beer. "He's been acting weird lately, actually. Called me last week. Wanted to have lunch. Just the two of us. He's never done that before." Every muscle in my body tensed. "What did he want?" "To talk about career stuff," he said. Asked about my job, whether I was happy. It was kind of strange. He kept asking about you too. Whether you were okay. Whether there was any, tension at home. What did you tell him? That everything was fine. Because it is, right? You and Mom are good. I looked at my son, the young man I'd raised, taught to shave, helped move into his first apartment, and I wanted to tell him everything. I wanted to ask him if he'd ever wondered why he didn't look like me, if he'd ever felt like something was off. But I couldn't. Not yet. "Everything's fine, Michael." He nodded, but he didn't look convinced. Neither was I. After Michael and Sarah left that night, I sat in my workshop. The garage I'd converted years ago, filled with tools and half-finished projects. I pulled out the hairbrush with Sarah's DNA and placed it in a plastic evidence bag I'd bought at a crime supply store. 1 sample down, 2 more to go. But Michael's words kept echoing in my head. Uncle Brian was around a lot, though, wasn't he? Back then, and the most disturbing part, he kept asking about you, whether there was any tension at home. Brian was checking up on me. Why? Was he worried I'd figured something out? Was this his way of probing, seeing if I suspected anything? I pulled out my phone and looked at Brian's contact information. His smiling face in the profile picture. My best friend. My brother in everything but blood. Maybe in blood, too. just not my blood. The question that kept me up that night wasn't just, is Brian the father, anymore. It was, how many people know? And how long have they been lying to me? Sleep became a luxury I couldn't afford. Every night I lay next to Jennifer, pretending. Pretending I didn't know. Pretending everything was normal. Pretending that the woman who'd shared my bed for 31 years hadn't built our entire marriage on a foundation of lies. If you're just catching up, I'm David Morrison, 63 years old, and I've discovered through a routine blood test that my 2 adult children aren't biologically mine. Now I'm collecting DNA samples to find out who their real father is. And my best friend Brian, the man who delivered both my children, is acting very, very suspicious. Monday morning, Jennifer left for a showing at 8:30. I watched her Mercedes pull out of the driveway, waited 5 minutes to be sure she wasn't coming back for something she'd forgotten. Then I called Michael. "Hey, Dad, what's up? I left some paperwork at your apartment last weekend. Mind if I swing by and grab it? I have my spare key." A pause. "What paperwork?" My heart hammered. The tax forms for the business. Remember, you were going to look them over for me." "Oh, right." He didn't remember because it hadn't happened. "Yeah, sure. I'm at work anyway. Let yourself in." 20 minutes later, I was standing in my son's bathroom. His toothbrush sat in a holder by the sink. Electric blue, one of those expensive ones. Next to it was a manual backup toothbrush, still in its packaging. I stared at them both. This felt wrong, violating, like I was stealing something from my own child. But I needed to know. I took the manual toothbrush, he'd never miss it, and placed it in another evidence bag. Then I looked around the small bathroom and something caught my eye. A photo, stuck to the mirror with a magnet. It was old, the colors slightly faded. Michael as a baby, maybe 6 months old, being held by Brian, Uncle Brian, grinning at the camera, holding infant Michael like he was the most precious thing in the world. And, in the background, slightly out of focus, Jennifer, watching them both, the expression on her face. I pulled out my phone and took a picture of the photo. Then I left the apartment quickly, before I started seeing conspiracies in every corner. I found a private DNA testing lab 40 minutes outside of town. Gene Tech Solutions, the kind of place that doesn't ask questions, just processes samples. The technician was a young woman named Amy, probably late 20s. With purple streaks in her hair and a professional demeanor that suggested she'd seen every kind of family drama imaginable. "So you need paternity testing on 2 samples, she confirmed, looking at my intake form. "Yeah, and I need it compared to a 3rd sample I'll bring in later this week." "Okay. Standard turnaround is 7 to 10 business days. We offer expedited processing for an additional fee, 72 hours. How much?" $500 extra. I handed her my credit card without hesitation. "Do it." She processed the payment, then looked at me with something like sympathy. "Sir, whatever you're going through, I hope you get the answers you need." "Me too," I said quietly. But did I? Did I really want to know? There was still time to walk away, to let sleeping dogs lie, to maintain the comfortable illusion of my life. I thought about Sarah, calling me last week to ask advice about a difficult patient. Michael, texting me pictures of the sunset from his balcony with the message, "Pretty sure I got your eye for beauty, Dad." Your eye for beauty. Not his eye for beauty. Mine. Because he thought we were connected by more than just circumstance and proximity. He thought we shared blood. Genetics. A biological bond that made us father and son. "Process it," I told Amy. "I'll be back with the 3rd sample in 2 days." Getting Brian's DNA was going to be trickier. I couldn't just show up at his house and steal his toothbrush. His wife Diane would ask questions. And unlike Michael, Brian would know something was wrong. Brian had been my friend for 35 years. He could read me like a book. Or could he? If he'd been lying to me for 3 decades, maybe I didn't know him at all. Tuesday evening I called him. "Hey buddy, wanna grab a beer? It's been too long." "Dave!" "Yeah, man, absolutely." "Thursday work?" "Murphy's Pub. Perfect. See you at 7. Murphy's Pub was our place. We'd been going there since our 20s, back when it was a dive bar with sticky floors and questionable health code compliance. They'd renovated over the years, but the bones were the same. pool table in the back, dartboard on the wall, neon Budweiser sign that flickered. Thursday arrived. I got there 15 minutes early and positioned myself at a table in the back. I needed to watch Brian arrive, see his face before he saw me, see if there was any guilt, any nervousness. At 7:03, Brian walked in. He looked the same as always. Tall, athletic despite being 65. Salt and pepper hair, always impeccably styled. Designer jeans and a polo shirt. Brian had money. His practice was successful. His house was in the nicest part of town. His eyes scanned the bar, found me, and his face lit up with a genuine smile. Or was it genuine? How could I tell anymore? "Dave!" He clasped my hand, pulled me into a one-armed hug. "Good to see you, man." "You too, Brian." We sat, ordered beers. For the first few minutes, everything was normal. Work talk. Diane had hurt her back gardening. Brian was thinking about cutting back his hours, maybe retiring in a few years. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "How's Jennifer doing?" "Fine." "Why?" "No reason. She just seemed, I don't know, stressed when I saw her last week." "You saw Jennifer last week?" "Yeah, she stopped by the office. Said she needed to discuss something medical. Patient confidentiality and all that, but..." He trailed off, took a sip of his beer. "She seemed worried about something." Jennifer hadn't mentioned going to see Brian. She hadn't mentioned any medical concerns. "What did she want to discuss?" I asked carefully. "Can't say, Dave. You know that. But maybe you should talk to her. Make sure everything's okay at home." There it was again. That question. "Everything okay at home?" Michael had said. Brian asked him the same thing. Brian was circling, probing, trying to figure out if I knew something. I nursed my beer, watching Brian over the rim of my glass. Every word he said, every gesture, every expression, I analyzed it all. "Remember when the kids were little?" Brian said suddenly. God, those were good times. Sarah with her little pigtails, Michael learning to walk. "You and Jen were so happy." "We're still happy," I said. Of course. I just mean, those early years. They're special, you know? Before life gets complicated." "What complications?" Brian looked at me strangely. "Just life, Dave. Work. Stress. The usual stuff." "Why are you being weird?" "I'm not being weird." "You're being weird." We stared at each other across the table. The bar noise, conversations, laughter, the clink of glasses, faded into background static. "Brian," I said slowly, "if there was something I needed to know, something important, about my family, you'd tell me, right?" His face went carefully blank. "What are you talking about?" "Just anything. You're my best friend. You'd tell me." "Dave, what's going on?" "Is something wrong?" "I'm asking you. Nothing's wrong that I know of." "But you're starting to worry me. Are you feeling okay? Any chest pain? Shortness of breath?" Always the doctor, deflecting with medical concerns. "I'm fine. You don't seem fine." We sat, in tense silence. Then Brian's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and something flickered across his face. Relief? Nervousness? "Sorry, I have to take this. Emergency with a patient." He stood up, walked toward the exit with his phone to his ear. I watched him go. And that's when I saw it, his beer glass, still half full, sitting on the table, his DNA, right there, on the rim where his lips had touched. I waited until Brian had been gone for 3 minutes, long enough that he wouldn't immediately come back. Then I pulled out a napkin and carefully wrapped it around the beer glass. "Hey, you done with that?" I nearly jumped out of my skin. The waitress was standing there, reaching for the glass. "No, I mean, yes, but I'll take it. He's my designated driver. He'll want to finish it when he gets back." She gave me an odd look but shrugged and moved on. My hands were shaking. I pulled out a plastic bag I'd brought specifically for this purpose and carefully transferred the glass into it, trying not to smudge the saliva on the rim. Brian's DNA. Finally, he came back 5 minutes later, apologetic. "Sorry about that. Mrs. Henderson is 37 weeks and convinced she's in labor. False alarm probably, but I told her to head to the hospital just in case." "No problem. Hey, I should probably get going anyway. Early meeting tomorrow." "Already?" Brian looked disappointed. We barely got to catch up. Yeah, sorry. Rain check? Sure, buddy. Sure. We walked out together. In the parking lot, Brian hesitated before getting into his BMW. Dave, seriously, if something's bothering you, you can talk to me. Whatever it is. I know, I lied. He pulled me into another hug. Over his shoulder, I could see my truck, the plastic bag with his beer glass hidden under a jacket on the passenger seat. Evidence. Proof. Truth. Take care of yourself, Brian said. You too. I watched him drive away, his tail lights disappearing into the night. Then I got in my truck and carefully, so carefully, drove back to the DNA lab with my best friend's saliva in a bag next to me. 72 hours. That's how long Amy at GeneTech said it would take. 72 hours to find out if my best friend was my children's biological father. I dropped off the glass on Friday morning, which meant I'd have results Monday afternoon. The weekend was torture. Saturday, Jennifer wanted to go to the farmer's market. We walked through the stalls. She bought organic vegetables and artisan bread, and I followed behind her like a ghost. Everything felt surreal. The colors too bright. The sounds too loud. David, you're 1,000,000 miles away, Jennifer said, holding up a bunch of kale. Do we need kale? Sure. You hate kale. Then no. She put it back, studying my face. What's wrong? Nothing. You've been acting strange all week. Are you feeling okay? Maybe you should go back to Dr. Patterson. Dr. Patterson, the man who told me the truth that started all of this. I'm fine. You're not fine. Talk to me, David. I looked at my wife, really looked at her. She was 53 years old, laugh lines around her eyes, a few gray hairs mixed in with the blonde. She was wearing jeans and a sweater, no makeup, just herself. I'd loved this woman for 31 years. Had she ever loved me? I've just been tired, I said. Work stress. She reached out and took my hand. Her fingers were warm, familiar. Maybe we should take a vacation. Get away for a bit. Just the two of us. Maybe. But I was already thinking, is she trying to get me away? To distract me? Does she know I'm investigating? Paranoia was eating me alive. Sunday afternoon, while Jennifer was at her book club, I did something I'd never done in 31 years of marriage. I searched her things. I started with her office, the small room off the kitchen where she kept her real estate paperwork. File cabinets, desk drawers, nothing unusual. Property listings, client files, tax documents. Then her closet, boxes on the top shelf, old shoes, purses she hadn't used in years. And then, in the back corner, behind a stack of sweater boxes, I found it. A small wooden box. Locked. My heart started pounding. I picked it up, shook it gently. Something inside. Papers, maybe. Or photos. I needed to open it. The lock was simple. The kind you'd find on a teenager's diary. I went to my workshop, grabbed a small screwdriver, and jimmied it open in less than 30 seconds. Inside, letters. Not emails. Not texts. Actual handwritten letters on cream-colored stationery. My hands shook as I pulled out the first one. Jennifer, last night was a mistake. We both know that. But God help me, I can't stop thinking about it. About you. This has to stop. Dave is my best friend. I'm betraying everything I believe in. But when I close my eyes, all I see is you. We can't do this again. We won't. BB. Brian. The date at the top. October 1996. 1 year before Sarah was born. I sat on the floor of our closet, surrounded by my wife's shoes and dresses, reading letter after letter. October 1996. We can't do this again. December 1996. I'm trying to stay away. I swear I am. But you called last night and I couldn't help myself. Dave was working late again. He's always working. You deserve better. February 1997. You're pregnant. Jesus Christ, Jennifer. Is it mine? You have to tell me. Is it mine? March 1997. You're sure it's Dave's? The timing works out. Thank God. I couldn't live with myself if... We have to stop this. For real this time. Before everything falls apart. But they didn't stop. May 2000. I can't believe this is happening again. Another pregnancy. Jennifer, We were so careful after Sarah. How did this happen? June 2000. If this baby is mine, I want to know. I deserve to know. But if Dave finds out, God, what have we done? September 2000. He's beautiful. Michael is beautiful. And I'm going to have to watch Dave raise my son, and I'll never be able to claim him. This is my punishment. This is what I deserve. There were more. Years of letters. The affair had continued on and off for decades. The last letter was dated just 6 months ago. Jennifer, Dave is getting old. We're all getting old. Sometimes I think about telling him. Wouldn't it be kinder to let him know the truth before it's too late? But then I remember the look on his face at Sarah's wedding. The pride, the love, and I know I can never take that away from him. Some lies are mercies. I have to believe that. I'll love you until my last breath. I sat there for a long time, the letters scattered around me like fallen leaves. My best friend, my wife, my children, all of it a lie. All of it. I don't know how long I sat there. It could have been minutes or hours. Time had no meaning anymore. Eventually, I heard the garage door open. Jennifer was home. I quickly gathered the letters, put them back in the box, locked it, and replaced it exactly where I'd found it. Then I went downstairs. Jennifer was in the kitchen putting away groceries. She smiled when she saw me. Hey, honey. Book club was great. We're reading this thriller about a woman who... David, what's wrong? You look terrible! I stared at her, this stranger wearing my wife's face. I don't feel well, I said. It wasn't a lie. I felt sick, physically sick. Do you want me to call Dr. Patterson? No. But, I said no, Jennifer. She stepped back, surprised by my tone. I'd never spoken to her like that. Not in 31 years. Okay, she said carefully. Why don't you go lie down? I'll bring you some tea. I went to the bedroom. Lay on the bed. Stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow I'd get the DNA results. Tomorrow I'd have scientific proof of what I already knew from those letters. Brian was the father. Brian had been sleeping with my wife since before we had children. Brian had delivered his own babies while I stood there like an idiot, thanking him for being such a good friend. The question now wasn't what happened. The question was, what do I do about it? That night I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m. I got up and went to the bathroom. When I came back, Jennifer was awake. David, she whispered in the darkness. Are you having an affair? I almost laughed. Almost. Why would you ask me that? You've been so distant, so secretive. I need to know. Are you seeing someone else? The irony was so thick I could taste it. My wife, who'd been cheating on me for 30 years, asking if I was having an affair. No, Jennifer, I said. I'm not having an affair. Then what's going on? I looked at her in the dim light filtering through the curtains. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, I'm scared, David. You should be, I said, and I rolled over and pretended to sleep while my wife lay awake beside me, probably wondering how much I knew. The answer was everything, except one thing. One crucial thing. Did Sarah and Michael know? Were my children part of this conspiracy? Or were they victims too? Monday morning, 9:47 a.m. I sat in my truck outside GeneTech Solutions, staring at the building's glass doors. Inside those doors was the truth. Scientific, irrefutable truth. But I already knew, didn't I? I'd read the letters. I'd seen the proof in black and white, written in Brian's own hand. Michael is beautiful, and I'm going to have to watch Dave raise my son. Still, there's knowing, and then there's knowing. There's suspicion, confirmed by love letters, and then there's DNA evidence that stands up in court. I'm David Morrison. I'm 63 years old, and I'm about to get proof that my entire life has been a lie. If you're just joining this story, go back and watch from the beginning. Trust me, you need the full context for what's about to happen. And if you've been following along, hit that subscribe button, because what comes next? It's going to get ugly. Amy was at the front desk when I walked in. She recognized me immediately, and something in her expression told me she'd already looked at the results. Mr. Morrison, let me get those for you. She disappeared into the back. I stood there, my heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. The waiting room was empty except for me. Beige walls, generic landscape paintings, a water cooler humming in the corner. My whole life was about to change in this beige room with bad art. Amy returned with a manila folder. Do you want me to explain the results, or would you prefer to just give them to me? She handed over the folder. Our eyes met. I'm sorry, she said quietly. I sat down in one of the plastic chairs and opened the folder. There were 3 reports: technical language, genetic markers, allele frequencies, numbers and percentages that probably meant something to scientists. But at the bottom of each report, in clear, unambiguous language, Sample A, Sarah Morrison, and Sample C, Brian Caldwell, probability of paternity, 99.98%. Sample B, Michael Morrison, and Sample C, Brian Caldwell, probability of paternity, 99.97%. Sample A, Sarah Morrison, and Sample D, David Morrison, probability of paternity, 0.00%. Sample B, Michael Morrison, and Sample D, David Morrison, probability of paternity, 0%. I stared at those zeros. So final, so absolute. I wasn't their father. Brian was. I sat there in that waiting room, holding the paper that destroyed my family, and I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Mr. Morrison? Amy's voice sounded far away. Do you need some water? No. What did I need? I need copies. Multiple copies. Certified copies. Of course. Give me a few minutes. She disappeared again. I sat there staring at nothing. 30 years. 30 years of birthdays and baseball games and parent-teacher conferences. 30 years of being dad. Of being their father in every way that mattered. Except the one way that apparently mattered most. Biology. Blood. DNA. The things I couldn't give them because they weren't mine to give. I made it to my truck before I lost it. The first sob came out of nowhere, tearing through my chest like something physical. Then another, and another. I gripped the steering wheel and I wept like I hadn't wept since my father died. Because that's what this was, wasn't it? A death. The death of David Morrison, father of 2. The death of the man I thought I was. How many times had I told people I had 2 kids? Hundreds? Thousands. It was part of my identity. More fundamental than my job, my hobbies, my accomplishments. I was David Morrison, husband and father. But I wasn't a father. Not really. Not in the way that counted. I was a dupe. A cuckold. The idiot who raised another man's children, while that man, my supposed best friend, watched and said nothing. The parking lot was empty. Thank God for that. I don't know how long I sat there crying like a child. 10 minutes? 20? Time had lost all meaning. Eventually, the tears stopped. Not because I felt better, but because my body simply had nothing left. I looked at myself in the rearview mirror. Red eyes. Blotchy face. I looked like a man who'd been crying. I looked like a broken old man. And that's when something shifted inside me. No. No more crying. No more self-pity. I was 63 years old, but I wasn't dead yet. I wasn't helpless. I'd built a multi-million-dollar business from nothing. I'd survived competitors trying to destroy me, economic recessions, equipment failures, and workers' comp lawsuits. I'd survived worse than this. Well, no, I hadn't. But I was going to survive it anyway, because Brian and Jennifer thought they'd gotten away with it. 30 years of lies, and they thought I'd never know. They were wrong. I didn't go home. I couldn't face Jennifer yet. Not until I had a plan. Instead, I drove to a coffee shop across town, one where nobody knew me. I ordered black coffee I didn't drink and sat in the back corner with a notebook. I needed to think this through carefully, methodically. What did I want? Revenge? Justice? Both. I started making lists. What I know. Brian is the biological father. DNA proof. Jennifer has been having an affair with Brian since at least 1996. The affair continued after both children were born. They falsified medical records to hide the truth. Brian delivered both children. Conflict of interest. The affair may still be ongoing. Last letter was 6 months ago. Who else knows? Carol, Jennifer's sister, likely involved in medical records falsification. Possibly Diane, Brian's wife. Need to investigate Sarah and Michael. Unknown. Assume They don't know unless proven otherwise. What I need: lawyer, divorce attorney, someone ruthless. Evidence secured, letters, DNA results, medical records. Financial audit, has Jennifer been stealing from joint accounts? Private investigator to document current affair if ongoing. Plan to tell Sarah and Michael. They deserve to know the truth. What I want: divorce from Jennifer. She gets nothing. Brian's medical license revoked. Falsifying birth records. Ethics violations. Brian's marriage destroyed. Diane deserves to know. Sarah and Michael to know the truth, but keep their love. Impossible. My dignity back. That last one. That was the hard one. How do you get your dignity back after being humiliated for 30 years? I called 3 divorce attorneys that afternoon. The first 2 couldn't see me for weeks. The third, Griffin Thorne, had a cancellation and could meet me at 4 p.m. His office was downtown, 15th floor of a glass tower. Expensive furniture, expensive art, the kind of place that screamed, "I win divorces." Griffin Thorne himself was late 40s, silver hair, shark eyes. He shook my hand with the grip of someone who crushed people for a living. "Mr. Morrison, my secretary said you had an urgent matter. My wife has been cheating on me for 30 years with my best friend. They have 2 children together that I raised, thinking they were mine. I want to destroy them both legally. Can you help me with that?" Griffin's expression didn't change. "Sit down. Start from the beginning." I told him everything. The blood test, the DNA results, the letters, Brian delivering his own children, the falsified medical records. He took notes, his pen moving rapidly across a legal pad. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. "This is comprehensive. The level of deception here is extraordinary. Can I divorce her? Will I have to pay alimony? In this state, we have no-fault divorce, but adultery is still relevant to financial settlements. With this level of proof, especially ongoing adultery over decades, we can argue against alimony. The falsified medical records are potentially criminal. And Dr. Caldwell," he smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. "Dr. Caldwell is in serious trouble. Medical ethics violations, possibly fraud. His medical license is at risk." "Good. There's one complication," Griffin said. "Your children. They're not my children. Legally, they are. You're listed as the father on their birth certificates. You raised them. In the eyes of the law, you are their father, which means if you pursue this aggressively, they're going to be caught in the crossfire." I sat back. "I hadn't thought about that." "What do you mean?" "I mean that when this goes public, and it will go public, especially if we pursue criminal charges, Sarah and Michael are going to find out their entire lives have been a lie. Their mother cheated. Their godfather is actually their biological father. The man they call dad isn't related to them at all. That's going to damage them, Mr. Morrison. The truth is the truth." "Yes, but you need to decide. Do you want revenge more than you want to protect them?" I stared at him. "Whose side are you on?" "Yours. Absolutely yours. But I need you to go into this with your eyes open. Scorched earth divorce is going to burn everyone, including Sarah and Michael. If you want to minimize damage to them, we proceed differently. Quietly. A settlement. An NDA. You get what you need financially, but the affair stays private. So they keep lying, so your kids don't have to face public humiliation." I thought about Sarah at her wedding, beautiful in white, holding my arm as I walked her down the aisle. I thought about Michael calling me last Tuesday, just to say hi, to talk about nothing. They were innocent in this. They didn't know. "I need time to think," I said. "Take the time you need." "But Mr. Morrison." "One thing." Griffin's shark eyes locked on mine. "Right now you have the element of surprise. The moment Jennifer or Brian suspects you know, they'll start protecting themselves. Moving money, destroying evidence, coordinating stories. Don't wait too long. How long do I have? Days. Maybe a week if you're lucky. But not much more than that. I left Griffin's office with a plan forming, but I needed more evidence. More proof. If Brian and Jennifer were still having an affair, and that last letter suggested they were, I needed to document it. I called a private investigator Griffin had recommended. Rick Sanchez, Former cop, now running his own agency. We met at a diner at 6 p.m. Rick was mid-50s, stocky, with the kind of face that disappeared in a crowd. Perfect for surveillance work. Griffin said you need someone followed, Rick asked, stirring sugar into his coffee. 2 people. My wife and her lover. I need to know if they're still seeing each other. I need photos, video, dates, times, locations, everything. Your wife's name, Jennifer Morrison, and the man is Dr. Brian Caldwell. Rick wrote it down. Doctor, huh? They usually think they're too smart to get caught. Makes my job easier. How much is this going to cost me? $150 an hour plus expenses. Surveillance usually runs 20-30 hours for a solid case. Figure 4, $5,000. Do it! Rick studied me. You okay, man? You look like you've been through hell. I have. Whatever they did to you, we'll get proof. And then you can bury them. That word. Bury. Yes, that's what I wanted. To bury 'em both. When I finally got home that night, it was after 8 p.m. Jennifer's car was in the garage. I sat in my truck for a moment, gathering myself. Then I went inside. She was in the living room watching TV. She looked up when I came in, and her face was tight with worry. Where have you been? I've been calling you all day. I pulled out my phone. 7 missed calls from Jennifer. 3 from Brian. I turned my phone off. I needed to think. Think about what? David, you're scaring me. What's going on? I looked at her. Really looked at her. Trying to see the woman who'd betrayed me for 30 years. Trying to reconcile the Jennifer I loved with the Jennifer who'd lied to me every single day of our marriage. Nothing's going on, I said. You're lying. The irony was so thick I almost laughed. I'm tired, Jennifer. I'm going to bed. It's 8:30. I'm tired, I repeated. I walked past her, went upstairs, and locked myself in the bedroom. My phone buzzed. A text from Brian. Dave, Jennifer is worried about you. Call me. Whatever's going on, we can talk about it. I stared at that message. The audacity of it. Whatever's going on, we can talk about it. I typed back. I'm fine. Just need some space. His response came immediately. Space from what? From Jennifer. Dave, talk to me. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my email and sent Rick Sanchez the surveillance contract, signed. Then I pulled out the DNA results and read them again, just to be sure, just to confirm this nightmare was real. 99-98% probability of paternity. It was real. At 11 p.m., I made a decision. I called Carol, Jennifer's sister, the nurse practitioner, the woman who'd been at both deliveries, the woman who'd had access to medical records. She answered on the 3rd ring, her voice groggy. David, it's 11 o'clock. Is everything okay? No, everything is not okay. I need to talk to you. About what? About Sarah and Michael's birth records. Silence. Long, heavy silence. David, I don't know what you... Don't lie to me, Carol. I know you changed my blood type on their birth certificates. I know you helped cover up the affair. More silence. Then quietly. How did you find out? So it was true. Even Carol had known. Even Carol had been lying to me. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you have one chance to tell me the truth. Everything. Or you go down with Jennifer and Brian when I burn their lives to the ground. I can't. Jennifer is my sister. And I was your brother-in-law for 31 years. That didn't stop you from helping her deceive me. I could hear her breathing on the other end. Ragged. Scared. Meet me tomorrow, I said. Noon. Riverside Park. Come alone. Tell me everything you know and maybe, I'll leave you out of the legal firestorm that's coming. David, please. Noon, Carol. Don't make me come find you. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Not from fear. From rage. All of them. Jennifer, Brian, Carol. All of them had lied to me. For years. Decades. How many other people knew? How many people had looked at me with pity, knowing I was raising another man's children? At 11:47 p.m., someone knocked on our front door. I was still awake, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. Jennifer was asleep, or pretending to be. The knock came again. Harder. I got up, went downstairs, looked through the peephole. Brian. He was standing on our porch at midnight, looking agitated. I opened the door. What are you doing here? We need to talk. Now. It's midnight. I don't care what time it is. Something's wrong, Dave. Jennifer called me crying. You're acting crazy. You're accusing Carol of I don't even know what. What the hell is going on? So Carol had called him immediately. Of course she had. Come in, I said. Brian stepped inside, and I closed the door behind him. We stood in the foyer, the same foyer where he'd stood 1,000 times over the years. Family dinners, holiday parties, birthday celebrations. Always there, always part of the family, always lying. Talk to me, Dave. Whatever's going on, we can fix it. We're brothers, man. We've been friends for 35 years. Brothers, I repeated. Is that what we are? Of course. You're my best friend. And Jennifer. His face went carefully neutral. What about Jennifer? Is she your friend too? Dave, what are you asking me? We stared at each other. The moment stretched between us, taut and dangerous. I wanted to confront him right then. I wanted to pull out the DNA results and throw them in his face. I wanted to watch him crumble, but Griffin's words echoed in my head. Right now, you have the element of surprise. Don't wait too long, but don't blow it prematurely either. I'm not asking you anything, I said finally. I'm just tired, stressed about work. I'm sorry if I worried you. Brian's eyes searched my face. You're sure that's all it is? I'm sure. He didn't believe me. I could see it in his expression, but he couldn't call me a liar without revealing why he was so nervous. Okay, he said slowly. Okay. But Dave, if something was wrong, if you found out something, anything, you'd tell me, right? You wouldn't just react without talking to me first. Why would I need to talk to you? I just mean, we're friends. Best friends. Whatever happens, we face it together. Right, together. Brian left a few minutes later. I watched his BMW pull out of the driveway, and I knew. He was scared. He suspected I knew something, which meant I had less time than I thought. After Brian left, I went back upstairs. Jennifer was awake, sitting up in bed. What did Brian want? She asked. To check on me. He's worried. We're all worried, David. You're not yourself. I got into bed, turned off the light. In the darkness, I could hear her breathing, waiting for me to say something, to reassure her. Instead, I said, Jennifer, do you love me? Silence. Then, of course I love you. What kind of question is that? Just answer me. Do you love me? Have you always loved me? David, you're scaring me. That's not an answer. More silence. Long enough that I wondered if she was going to answer at all. Finally, yes, I love you. I've always loved you. The lie hung in the air between us. Good, I said. That's good. The next morning, I was meeting Carol at noon. By tomorrow, Rick's surveillance would begin. By the end of the week, I'd have everything I needed. And then I'd watch their world burn. But there was one person I hadn't accounted for. One person who was about to complicate everything. At 7 a.m., my phone rang. It was Sarah. Dad, can we talk? It's important. It's about Mom and Uncle Brian. Dad, can we talk? It's important. It's about Mom and Uncle Brian. I stood in my kitchen, phone pressed to my ear, and my heart stopped. Sarah knew something. My daughter, Brian's daughter, knew something about her mother and her biological father. The question was, how much? I'm David Morrison, and for the past week, I've been unraveling a 30-year conspiracy. My wife Jennifer has been having an affair with my best friend Brian since before our children were born. I've collected DNA evidence proving Brian is their biological father. And now, just as I'm preparing to destroy both of them legally, my daughter calls with information about Mom and Uncle Brian. This changes everything. Dad, are you there? I forced my voice to sound normal. I'm here, honey. What's going on? Can I come over? I don't want to talk about this on the phone. Jennifer was upstairs getting ready for work. She couldn't hear this conversation. I'm actually heading out. Can you meet me at Riverside Park? Say, 30 minutes? Riverside Park? That's random. But okay, sure. I'll see you there. She hung up. I stood there, gripping my phone, my mind racing. What did she know? Had Jennifer told her? Had Brian? Or had Sarah figured it out on her own? And, more importantly, was she calling to warn me or to warn them? I got to Riverside Park 20 minutes early, the same park where I'd sat processing the initial shock of the blood test results. The same park where I was supposed to meet Carol at noon. Now I was meeting my daughter at 8 a.m. Sarah arrived right on time, pulling into the parking lot in her Honda Civic. She got out, and I could see she'd been crying. Her eyes were red, her face blotchy. She walked over to where I stood by the river and immediately hugged me. Hard, like she was afraid I might disappear. "Dad," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." My blood ran cold. Sorry for what? She pulled back, looked up at me. I saw them. Mom and Uncle Brian, 3 days ago. Saw them doing what? Sarah's face crumpled. I went to Mom's office to surprise her for lunch. She wasn't there, so I called her cell. She said she was at a showing. But Dad, I tracked her location on Find My Friends. We all have it, remember? For emergencies? I nodded, unable to speak. She wasn't at any property showing. She was at Uncle Brian's office. So I drove over there and... She started crying harder. The lights were off in the waiting room. The front door was locked, but I could see through the window to the back hallway. And they were what, Sarah? Kissing. More than kissing. Dad, they were... She couldn't finish the sentence. I pulled her close, let her cry into my shoulder. My daughter, my little girl, finding out her mother was cheating on her father. Except I wasn't her father. Not really. How long have you known? I asked quietly. 3 days. I've been going crazy. I didn't know whether to tell you. Part of me thought maybe I was wrong, maybe there was an explanation. But then I saw the way Mom's been acting around you, all nervous and guilty. And Uncle Brian called me twice yesterday asking if you seemed okay, if you'd said anything strange. What did you tell him? Nothing. I didn't know what to say. I needed to talk to you first. She pulled back, wiped her eyes. Dad, are you okay? Have you known? Is that why you've been acting so weird? This was the moment. I could tell her everything. Show her the DNA results. Let her know that Brian wasn't just her mother's affair partner. He was her biological father. But Griffin's warning echoed in my head. Do you want revenge more than you want to protect them? I suspected something, I said carefully. And I didn't have proof until recently. What are you going to do? What do you think I should do? Sarah's face hardened. It was remarkable, watching her transform from my crying little girl into someone fierce and angry. I think you should divorce her. I think you should tell Aunt Diane what Uncle Brian's been doing. God, Dad, I'm so angry. How could they do this to you? How could Mom do this to us? To us, not just to me. Sarah saw this as a betrayal of the whole family. Because she didn't know the whole truth. Have you told Michael? I asked. No, I wanted to talk to you first. Should I tell him? Not yet. Let me figure some things out first. Dad, Sarah grabbed my hands. I'm on your side. Whatever you need, whatever you decide to do, I'm with you. Okay? You're my dad. You've always been there for me. And Mom can go to hell. The venom in her voice surprised me. But maybe it shouldn't have. Sarah had always been a daddy's girl. When she was little, she'd follow me around the workshop, hand me tools, ask 1,000 questions about how things worked. She was loyal, like me. Maybe that was something we shared, even if we didn't share DNA. After Sarah left, I sat in my truck and tried to process what had just happened. Sarah had discovered the affair independently. She was angry at Jennifer and Brian. She was on my side, but she didn't know she was Brian's daughter. She thought she was defending her father against her mother's betrayal. What would happen when she found out the truth? My phone buzzed. A text from Carol. I can't meet you today. I'm sorry. Please don't contact me again. I stared at the message. So Carol was backing out. Probably after Brian had called her, told her I was asking questions. I texted back. If you don't meet me, I'll include you in the criminal complaint for falsifying medical records. Your nursing license will be gone. Your choice. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, you wouldn't do that. Try me. None. Be there. No response. But I knew she'd come. She had too much to lose. At 10:15, Rick Sanchez called. Mr. Morrison? I've got something already. Already? You just started this morning. Yeah, well, your wife made it easy. She left your house at 8:47 a.m. Told you she had showings all day, right? Right! She drove straight to Dr. Caldwell's office. Arrived at 9:03. His first appointment isn't until 10 a.m. Fosvarnuk, according to his online calendar. She's still in there. They've been alone in that office for over an hour. My hands clenched around the phone. Are you getting photos? Video, actually. I'm parked across the street with a telephoto lens. Got her going in. I'll get her coming out. If this is a regular thing, we'll have a pattern established in a few days. It's a regular thing, I said bitterly. Then we'll have everything you need for court. Listen, Mr. Morrison, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've seen a lot of affairs. But the way your wife parked, pulled around back like she was trying to hide her car, she knows what she's doing is wrong. This isn't a new relationship. This is practiced. I know. They've been doing this for 30 years. Rick whistled. 30 years? Jesus. That's dedication to a lie. I'm sorry, man. Just get me the evidence. You got it. After I hung up, I sat there imagining it. Jennifer walking into Brian's office. The door closing behind her. His hands on her. Her lips on his. 30 years of this. 30 years of them laughing at me behind my back. Not anymore. At noon, Carol showed up. She looked terrible. Hadn't slept from the looks of it. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, no makeup, wearing sweatpants and a jacket. We sat at a picnic table overlooking the river. Same spot where I'd talked to Sarah 4 hours earlier. I don't know what you want me to say, Carol started. The truth, all of it. How long have you known? She looked down at her hands. From the beginning. From the beginning of what? From before Sarah was born. Jennifer told me about the affair when she first got pregnant. She was terrified. She didn't know if the baby was yours or Brian's. But she knew it might not be mine. Yes, and you helped her hide it. Carol's eyes filled with tears. She's my sister, David. What was I supposed to do? Tell me the truth and destroy her marriage. Destroy your family. I thought if the baby was yours, it wouldn't matter. The affair would end and no one would ever have to know. But it wasn't mine. We didn't know that at first. Not for sure. Jennifer kept hoping. But when Sarah was born, Carol paused. The blood type was wrong. I noticed it immediately. O positive. You were listed as AB negative in your medical file from your old doctor. The numbers didn't add up. So you changed my blood type on Sarah's birth record. Yes. And Brian knew. Brian suspected Sarah was his from the moment she was born. Jennifer had told him about the affair, about the pregnancy. He wanted a paternity test, but Jennifer refused. She said it was too dangerous. If I found out what? That my wife had been cheating on me. That my best friend had betrayed me. She loved you, David. She still loves you. The affair with Brian. It was complicated. I laughed. Actually laughed. Complicated. That's what you're calling 30 years of lies. Complicated? Carol flinched. I know how it sounds, but you have to understand, Jennifer never wanted to hurt you. She was young when it started. You two had just gotten married. You were working all the time building your business. She was lonely. Brian was there. So it's my fault. No! I'm not saying that. I'm trying to explain how it happened. And Michael, was that an accident too? Carol looked away. No, Michael was. Jennifer wanted Brian to have a son. She'd broken off the affair after Sarah was born, tried to make things right with you. But Brian kept pursuing her. He was obsessed with her, with Sarah. He wanted to be part of their lives. So she got pregnant again, deliberately. Yes! The word hung between us like a death sentence. Did you change Michael's birth records too? Yes. Who else knows? Besides you, Jennifer, and Brian. Carol hesitated. Tell me, Diane, Brian's wife. She knows. The world tilted. Diane knows. She found out about 5 years ago. She was going to divorce him, but Brian convinced her to stay. He gave her everything she wanted. Money, the house. freedom to do whatever she pleased. They have an arrangement now. An arrangement. She looks the other way. He takes care of her, financially. It's not uncommon in medical marriages. I stared at Carol. So everyone knew. Everyone except me. David. Everyone knew I was raising another man's children. Everyone knew my wife was cheating on me. And everyone, every single one of you, decided I didn't deserve to know the truth. We were trying to protect you. Protect me. You were protecting yourselves. You were protecting Jennifer's comfortable life. You were protecting Brian's reputation. I stood up, unable to sit still any longer. You stole 30 years from me, Carol. 30 years I could have spent with someone who actually loved me. 30 years I wasted on a woman who was lying to me every single day. Carol was crying now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. What are you going to do? I looked at her. I'm going to tell everyone the truth. I'm going to destroy Jennifer and Brian in court. I'm going to make sure everyone knows what they did. And Sarah and Michael, you're going to tell them too. That stopped me. They deserve to know. They deserve to have a father who loves them. Which you do, David. You love them. Blood doesn't change that. Blood is the only thing that matters, apparently. That's not true, isn't it? Tell me, Carol, if blood doesn't matter, why did Jennifer go back to Brian after Sarah was born? Why did she deliberately get pregnant with his child again? If I was such a great father, if blood didn't matter, why wasn't I enough? Carol had no answer for that. I left Carol at the park and drove back to my office. I needed to think, to plan. At 2 p.m., Rick sent me a text with a video attachment. I opened it. The video showed Jennifer leaving Brian's office at 11:47 a.m. She looked around carefully before walking to her car. That practiced guilt Rick had mentioned. Her hair was slightly messed up. Her lipstick was gone. She'd been in there for almost 3 hours. The video continued, showing Brian walking out 30 minutes later. He stood in the parking lot, talking on his phone. Even from a distance, I could see he looked agitated. Then my phone rang. It was Brian. I almost didn't answer, but I needed to hear what he'd say. Needed to gauge how much he suspected. Hey, Brian. Dave. Hey. Listen, I know you've been stressed lately. I was thinking maybe we should go fishing this weekend. Like old times. Get away from everything, just us guys. Fishing? Yeah. Remember that cabin up at Silver Lake? We haven't been there in years. Could be good for you. Clear your head. He wanted to get me alone, away from evidence, away from witnesses. Was he worried I knew something? Or was this more sinister? I don't know, Brian. I've got a lot of work. Come on, Dave. You need this. We both do. Just one weekend, Friday through Sunday. What do you say? Every instinct I had was screaming danger, but another part of me, the part that wanted to watch him squirm, was curious. Let me think about it, I said. Don't think too long. I've already reserved the cabin. He'd already reserved it, before asking me. Like he'd been planning this. I'll let you know tomorrow, I said, and hung up. Immediately I called Griffin. My supposed best friend just invited me to an isolated cabin for the weekend. After 30 years of sleeping with my wife and raising his children as mine, should I be concerned? Griffin was quiet for a moment. How isolated? 3 hours away. Middle of nowhere. No cell service. Don't go. I wasn't planning to. Mr. Morrison, I know you want confrontation. I know you want answers. But you need to be smart about this. These people have been lying to you for 30 years. They've committed fraud. They've destroyed medical records. If they think you're a threat to their comfortable lives, you think Brian would hurt me. I think desperate people do desperate things. And Brian Caldwell is about to lose everything if this comes out. His medical license, his marriage, his reputation.
His children, well, they're not really his children in any legal sense, even if biologically they are.
You are their legal father. He has no rights, so he has nothing to lose. Exactly. Then we move faster. I want to file for divorce this week. I want criminal charges filed against both of them. Medical fraud. Whatever else you can think of. It takes time to build a criminal case. We don't have time. They know I'm suspicious. Sarah knows about the affair. Carol knows I know everything. How long before they start destroying evidence? How long before they coordinate their stories? Griffin sighed. Okay. Give me 2 days to put everything together.
We'll file on Friday. But in the meantime, you need to be careful.
Stay in public places. Don't be alone with either of them. Friday, I repeated. 3 days. Can you hold on for 3 days? I thought about Jennifer sleeping next to me every night, pretending to love me, pretending our marriage was real. 3 days of that seemed like an eternity. But I could do it. I'd survived 30 years of lies. I could survive 3 more days. That night, Jennifer was waiting for me when I got home. She was sitting at the kitchen table, and the moment I walked in, I knew something had changed. Her face was pale. Her hands were shaking. "We need to talk," she said. "About what?" "About whatever's going on with you. About why you've been acting so strange. About why Carol called me crying this afternoon." So Carol had told her we'd met. Of course she had. What did Carol say? She said, "You're asking questions." About Sarah and Michael's births. About medical records. Jennifer's eyes were locked on mine. "David, what's going on?" This was it. The moment where I could lay everything out. Show her the DNA results. Confront her with the letters. Destroy her with the truth. But Griffin's voice echoed, 2 days. "Just hold on for 2 days. "Carol's mistaken," I said. "I haven't asked her anything." "You're lying." "Am I?" "Maybe Carol's just being paranoid." Jennifer stood up. "Don't do this. Don't play games with me. If you have something to say, say it." "Fine. You want me to say something?" I stepped closer to her. "I know, Jennifer." Her face went white. "Know what?" "Everything. I know everything." We stood there, 3 feet apart, and I watched her decide whether to keep lying or finally tell the truth. She chose wrong. "I don't know what you think you know," she said carefully. "But whatever Carol told you, whatever you think is happening, I have DNA evidence," I said quietly. Jennifer's legs seemed to give out. She grabbed the back of a chair to steady herself. "DNA evidence of what? You really want me to say it out loud?" "David, please. Sarah and Michael aren't mine. They're Brian's. I have proof. Scientific, irrefutable proof." She started crying. Not the kind of tears that come from sadness. The kind that come from being caught. "How long have you known?" she whispered. "Long enough. The real question is, how long were you planning to keep lying?" I never wanted. "When were you going to tell me, Jennifer?" "On my deathbed." "Never. Were you just going to let me die thinking I was their father?" "You are their father!" "Biology doesn't change that. You raised them. You loved them. While their real father watched and said nothing. While you slept with him for 30 years. Jennifer sank into a chair, her face in her hands. "It wasn't supposed to be like this." "Then how was it supposed to be?" She looked up at me, and for the first time in our marriage, I saw genuine fear in her eyes. "What are you going to do?" I looked at my wife, this woman I'd loved for 31 years, this woman who'd lied to me every single day, and I felt nothing. No love, no hate, just emptiness. "I'm going to tell everyone the truth," I said. "Sarah, Michael, Diane, everyone at your real estate office, everyone at Brian's practice. Everyone is going to know what you did. You'll destroy them," she whispered. "Sarah and Michael, you'll destroy their lives. You destroyed their lives when you lied to them for 28 and 25 years. David, please, I'm begging you. Don't do this. Give me one reason why I shouldn't." She looked at me with tears streaming down her face. "Because I love you. I've always loved you." "That's not a reason," I said. "That's just another lie." I turned and walked upstairs, leaving her crying at the kitchen table. But as I lay in bed that night, her words kept echoing. "You'll destroy them." Sarah and Michael. Was I willing to do that? Was my need for revenge worth destroying my children's, Brian's children's, entire sense of self? I didn't know anymore. And then at 2 a.m. my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "David Morrison, we need to meet. Tomorrow. I have information about Jennifer and Brian that will change everything." "Ooh, Diane Caldwell." Brian's wife, the woman who'd known for 5 years and said nothing. What could she possibly have to tell me that I didn't already know? David Morrison, we need to meet. Tomorrow. I have information about Jennifer and Brian that will change everything. Diane Caldwell. I stared at the text message at 2 a.m., my heart pounding. Diane, Brian's wife. The woman who'd known about the affair for 5 years and said nothing. The woman who had an arrangement with her husband. She looked the other way. He paid for her comfortable life. What could she possibly tell me that would change everything? I'm David Morrison. I've spent the last week uncovering a 30-year conspiracy.
My wife and my best friend have been having an affair since before my children, his children, were born.
I have DNA evidence. I have love letters. I have surveillance video. But Diane has been watching this unfold for 5 years with the patience of someone planning something. And now she wants to talk. I texted back, where and when. The response came immediately, like she'd been waiting. Starbucks on Maple Street.
7 a.m.
Come alone. Tell no one. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I lay there, listening to Jennifer breathe in the darkness, and wondered what Diane knew, what she wanted. At 6:30 a.m., I got up quietly. Jennifer was still asleep, or pretending to be. After last night's confrontation, neither of us knew how to act around the other. I left a note saying I had an early meeting. Not technically a lie. Diane was already there when I arrived, sitting in a back corner booth with a coffee and a leather portfolio in front of her. I'd known Diane Caldwell for 35 years. We'd never been close. She was Brian's wife, part of the package deal of friendship, but we'd shared countless dinners, holidays, celebrations. She was elegant, refined, with the kind of beauty that came from expensive maintenance. 59 years old, but could pass for 45. But this morning, she looked tired. Frail, almost vulnerable. David. She gestured to the seat across from her. Thank you for coming. I sat down. What do you want, Diane? To help you destroy my husband. The words were so matter-of-fact, so cold, that I actually blinked. I'm sorry? You heard me. I want to help you destroy Brian. And Jennifer too while we're at it. She pushed the portfolio across the table. Everything you need is in here. 5 years of evidence, financial records, more love letters, dozens of them, going back decades. Photographs, hotel receipts, credit card statements showing jewelry he bought her, gifts for Sarah and Michael that he claimed were godfather presents, but were actually a father trying to buy his children's love. I opened the portfolio. Inside were hundreds of pages of documents, all meticulously organized with tabs and notes. Why? I asked. Carol said you knew. She said you had an arrangement. Diane's laugh was bitter. An arrangement. Is that what she called it? She took a sip of her coffee. Let me tell you about my arrangement, David. 5 years ago, I found texts between Brian and Jennifer. Explicit texts. I confronted him, threatened divorce. Do you know what he did? I shook my head. He cried. He begged. He told me everything. The affair started when you and Jennifer were newlyweds. It continued on and off for years.
Sarah and Michael were his biological children.
He'd been living a double life for 3 decades, playing devoted godfather while secretly being their father. And you stayed. He offered me $10 million to stay.
Signed a post-nuptial agreement giving me everything. The house, his retirement accounts, his investment portfolio, if I kept quiet and didn't file for divorce.
He said if I gave him time, he'd end things with Jennifer. He promised it was over. But it wasn't over. It was never over. I've been watching them for 5 years, David. Watching him sneak away to be with her. Watching him look at Sarah and Michael with this longing. Watching him live the life he wanted while I played the fool. She leaned forward, and I saw something dangerous in her eyes. So when Carol called me yesterday, panicking that you'd figured everything out, I knew this was my chance.
My chance to finally make him pay. I flipped through the portfolio.
It was damning, devastating. Financial transfers from Brian's personal account to Jennifer's, labeled as loans but never repaid.
$847,000 over 15 years.
A life insurance policy Brian had taken out on himself, with Sarah and Michael listed as beneficiaries. Not his actual children from Diane, Sarah and Michael. Hotel receipts from the Grand Plaza downtown. Monthly,
sometimes twice monthly, for the past 5 years. Room 412, always the same room. Text messages printed out. Brian, I miss you. When can I see you? Jennifer, Thursday. Usual place. D is working late. Brian, I love you. I've always loved you. Jennifer, I know, but this has to end soon. David's getting suspicious. Brian, leave him. We can finally be together. Jennifer, you know I can't. Not yet. Not yet, I read aloud. What does that mean? Diane's face was grim. Keep reading. I turned the page. More texts. These ones more recent, from 2 weeks ago. Brian, he's going to find out eventually. We need a plan. Jennifer, what kind of plan? Brian, Silver Lake. The cabin. We get him up there, away from everything. I'll handle it. Jennifer, handle it how? Brian, you don't need to know the details. Just trust me. Jennifer, Brian, you're scaring me. Brian, would you rather lose everything? David, the kids, your business, your reputation. I can make this go away. I felt cold. Actually cold, like someone had dumped ice water over my head. The fishing trip, I said. He invited me to Silver Lake this weekend. Diane nodded. I know. I heard him on the phone. He was very insistent that you come, wasn't he? He said he'd already reserved the cabin. Did he mention that he's been researching life insurance policies? That he asked his lawyer about what happens to jointly owned property if one spouse dies? Did he mention that he's been Googling accidental death and hunting accidents? My hands started shaking. You're saying he was planning to kill me. I'm saying he was planning something. And knowing Brian, knowing how desperate he is to keep this secret, I don't think he was planning a friendly conversation about the weather. I sat back, trying to process this. Brian, my best friend for 35 years. The man who'd been best man at my wedding. The man I'd trusted with everything. He'd been planning to murder me. Why are you telling me this? I asked. If you want revenge on Brian, why not go to the police yourself? Because I'm his wife. Anything I say will be dismissed as a bitter spouse trying to hurt him in a divorce. But you're the victim. You're the betrayed husband. You're the man who raised another man's children for 30 years. When you go to the police with this evidence, they'll listen. And what do you get out of it? Diane smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I get to watch him lose everything. His medical license, his freedom, his reputation, his children. Because Sarah and Michael will hate him when they find out the truth. And I get my $10 million plus whatever else I can take from him in the divorce. You've been planning this for 5 years. 5 years, David. 5 years of playing the dutiful wife while he snuck around with your wife. 5 years of watching him pine for a family that wasn't his to have. Do you know what that's like? Being invisible in your own marriage. I thought about the last 30 years. Being lied to. Being deceived. Raising children who weren't mine, while everyone around me knew the truth. Yes, I said quietly. I know exactly what that's like. We spent the next hour going through every document in the portfolio. Diane had been meticulous. Every hotel receipt had corresponding credit card statements. Every text message had timestamps and location data. She even had photographs, taken with a telephoto lens, just like Rick's surveillance, of Brian and Jennifer together. One photo in particular made my stomach turn. It was from 2 months ago, at Sarah's birthday dinner. We'd all been there. Me, Jennifer, Sarah, Marcus, Michael, Brian, and Diane. The photo was taken from across the restaurant. It showed Brian's hand on Jennifer's knee under the table. Jennifer leaning into him, laughing at something he'd said. Me sitting on the other side of Jennifer, completely oblivious. The look on my face in that photo. Happy, relaxed, thinking I was having dinner with my family. It was pathetic. I'm sorry, Diane said softly. I wanted to tell you so many times, but I was afraid. Afraid of losing my financial security. Afraid of the scandal. I'm not proud of my silence. You could have saved me years of this, I know. And I'll have to live with that. But David, we can make this right now. Together we can ensure they both pay for what they've done. I looked at this woman who'd been as much a victim as I was. Maybe more. At least I hadn't known. She'd known and had to live with it. What's your plan? I asked.
We file for divorce simultaneously. You and me. We present all this evidence to the courts. We go to the medical board with proof that Brian falsified birth records and delivered his own children without disclosing his personal relationship with the mother. We go to the police with those text messages about Silver Lake. They'll say it's not enough, that we're misinterpreting. Then we get him to confess. How? Diane pulled out another document. Brian has a life insurance policy worth $5 million. I'm the beneficiary. If anything happens to him, I get the money. But if he's convicted of attempted murder or conspiracy to commit murder, I get nothing. So what if he thought you were going to Silver Lake? What if he thought his plan was working? What if we recorded him talking about it? I stared at her. You want me to wear a wire? I want us both to wear wires. I'll confront him about the affair. You'll confront Jennifer. We'll get them to admit everything on tape. And then, she smiled that dangerous smile again. Then we destroy them. I called Griffin from my truck. She wants to do what? He sounded incredulous. She wants us to record confessions. Both of them. Simultaneously. That's actually not a bad idea. If they admit to the affair, the paternity, and especially if Brian admits to planning anything violent, that's evidence we can use. But David, this is risky. If they suspect you're recording, they won't. Brian thinks I'm clueless. He's been getting away with this for 30 years. His ego won't let him believe I've finally caught on. And Jennifer's scared. Scared people make mistakes. They talk too much. They admit things they shouldn't. Griffin was quiet for a moment. Okay. I can get you recording equipment. When do you want to do this? Tomorrow night. Friday. After that, we file for divorce and press charges. This is moving fast. It has to. They're already suspicious. If we wait any longer, they'll coordinate their stories. We'll lose the element of surprise. All right. Come by my office this afternoon. I'll have everything ready. At 3 p.m., I met with Griffin, Diane, and Rick Sanchez to coordinate our plan. Rick had more surveillance footage. Jennifer and Brian at the Grand Plaza yesterday afternoon. 3 hours, room 412. Jennifer leaving first, checking her hair in her car mirror. Brian leaving 20 minutes later, adjusting his tie. They're creatures of habit, Rick observed. Same hotel, same room, same day of the week. They've been doing this so long they're not even careful anymore. Arrogance, Diane said coldly. They think they're untouchable. Griffin laid out a schedule. Tomorrow night, Friday. David, you'll tell Jennifer you want to talk. A serious conversation about your marriage. You'll wear a wire. The goal is to get her to admit to the affair and confirm that Sarah and Michael are Brian's children. What if she denies it? She already knows you have DNA evidence. She'll either deny it and look guilty, or admit it and give you what you need. Either way, you win. He turned to Diane. You'll do the same with Brian. Tell him you know about Jennifer, that you're done with the arrangement. Push him. Make him angry. Angry people say things they shouldn't. I can do that, Diane said. I've been practicing in my head for 5 years. Both conversations happen simultaneously, Griffin continued. That way they can't warn each other. Can't coordinate their responses. After the recordings, you both leave immediately. Come straight to my office. We'll file for divorce, first thing Saturday morning. What about the police? I asked. Those texts about Silver Lake, that's conspiracy to commit murder, isn't it? Potentially, but it's vague enough that a good defense attorney could argue he was just venting. We need more. We need him to explicitly admit he was planning to harm you. How do I get that? Bring up the fishing trip. Act like you're considering going. See what he says. If he encourages you, if he tries to get you up there, that's evidence of intent. I thought about Brian, my friend, my brother, trying to convince me to go to an isolated cabin so he could, what? Stage an accident, make me disappear. I'll get him to admit it, I said. That evening, Sarah showed up at the house unannounced. Jennifer was upstairs. I was in my workshop, ostensibly working on a cabinet repair, but really just trying to stay away from my wife. Dad? Sarah stood in the doorway. Can we talk? Of course, honey. Come in. She closed the door behind her. I told Michael. About Mom and Uncle Brian. My stomach dropped. What did he say? He didn't believe me at first. But then he said something weird. He said Uncle Brian has been acting strange around him lately, asking him questions about you, about whether you seemed happy, whether you'd mentioned anything about Mom. Brian's trying to figure out if I know. Do you? I mean, beyond what I told you. This was the moment. I could tell her everything. Show her the DNA results. Let her know that Brian wasn't just her mother's affair partner. He was her father. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the look in her eyes. The trust. The innocence. Tomorrow night, everything would come out. Tomorrow night, her whole world would shatter. I could give her one more day of not knowing. I know enough, I said carefully. But what are you going to do? Tomorrow. Everything happens tomorrow. Can you trust me until then? Sarah looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw the little girl who used to hold my hand crossing the street, the teenager who came to me for advice about boys, the young woman who asked me to walk her down the aisle. You're my dad, she said simply. I trust you completely. Those words. You're my dad. Was I? Would I still be? After she learned the truth, I hugged her tight. I love you, Sarah. No matter what happens, no matter what you learn, I love you. She pulled back, confused. Dad, you're scaring me. What's going to happen? The truth, I said. The truth is going to happen. Jennifer was in bed when I came upstairs. She was sitting up, a book in her lap, but she wasn't reading. She was just staring at the pages. David, she said when I walked in. Can we talk? Not tonight. Please. I need to explain. Tomorrow, Jennifer. We'll talk tomorrow. You can explain everything. She looked scared. Good. She should be. Are you going to leave me? I looked at her. My wife of 31 years. The woman I'd loved since I was 17. The woman who destroyed me. That depends, I said. On what? On whether you can finally tell me the truth. I went to the bathroom, brushed my teeth, avoided looking at myself in the mirror. When I came back, Jennifer was crying silently into her pillow. I got into bed, turned off the light, and lay there in the darkness. Tomorrow I would record her confession. Tomorrow Diane would record Brian's confession. Tomorrow the lies would finally end. But tonight, this last night before everything exploded, I let myself remember the good times. The early days when I thought we were happy. When I thought Sarah and Michael were mine. When I thought Brian was my friend. I let myself mourn what I'd lost. And I let myself prepare for the war that was coming. At 1:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Michael. Dad, Uncle Brian just called me. He said there's a family emergency, and we all need to meet tomorrow night at his house. He said it's about you and Mom. He sounded really upset. Do you know what this is about? My blood ran cold. Brian was calling a family meeting. Tomorrow night. The same night I was. The early days when I thought we were happy. When I thought Sarah and Michael were mine. When I thought Brian was my friend. I let myself mourn what I'd lost. And I let myself prepare for the war that was coming. At 1:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Michael. Dad, Uncle Brian just called me. He said there's a family emergency, and we all need to meet tomorrow night at his house. He said it's about you and Mom. He sounded really upset. Do you know what this is about? My blood ran cold. Brian was calling a family meeting. Tomorrow night. The same night I was planning to record Jennifer's confession. The same night Diane was confronting him. He was making a move, trying to control the narrative before I could. I texted back, don't go. Tell him you can't make it. Trust me on this. Michael. But he said it was an emergency. He said if I didn't come, I'd regret it. I said, don't go, Michael. Please, trust me. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Michael. Okay, Dad. I trust you. But you need to tell me what's going on. Tomorrow, I typed. Everything tomorrow. I forwarded the text thread to Griffin and Diane. Then I called Griffin. He's trying to get ahead of this, Griffin said immediately. He's going to tell them his version first. Paint himself as the victim. Can he do that? He can try. But if we move tonight instead of tomorrow. Tonight? Why wait? They're already circling the wagons. Let's hit them before they're ready. I looked at the clock. 1:52 a.m. Let's do it, I said. It was 2:17 a.m. when I made the decision that would change everything. Brian was trying to control the narrative, calling a family meeting, trying to tell his version of the story first. But we had something he didn't know about, Diane's 5 years of evidence. And we had something he'd never expect, both of us striking at the same time. Griffin was on the phone. I can be at your house in 20 minutes with the recording equipment. Diane's already awake. She says she's ready. Do it, I said. I'm David Morrison. For 30 years, I've been living a lie. Tonight, right now, that lie ends. If you're just joining us, go back to part 1. You need the full story to understand what's about to happen. And if you've been following along, what you're about to witness is the moment everything explodes. The confessions, the truth, the end of everything. Griffin arrived at 2:38 a.m. I met him in my driveway, not wanting him to come inside where Jennifer might wake up. He handed me a small device. It's a digital recorder with a microphone. Clip it inside your shirt. It'll pick up everything within 15 feet. Battery lasts 4 hours. My hands were shaking as I clipped it to my undershirt. Remember, Griffin said, your goal is to get her to admit to the affair, confirm Brian's paternity, and ideally get her to talk about how long it's been going on. Push her. Make her defensive. Defensive people talk. What about Diane? She's wiring up now. She's going to Brian's house at 3 a.m. She has a key. She's going to wake him up and confront him before he knows what's happening. While you're talking to Jennifer here, Diane will be recording Brian. He might get violent. I've arranged for a patrol car to be nearby. If anything goes wrong, she has a panic button. He paused. David, are you sure you want to do this? Once you start this recording, there's no going back. I thought about the last 30 years. Every lie, every deception, every moment I'd been the fool. I'm sure. I went back inside, climbed the stairs to our bedroom. Jennifer was asleep or pretending to be. I turned on the lights. She sat up, confused. David, what time is it? Time for the truth. I pulled a chair from the corner and sat down facing the bed. Professional. Detached. Like I was conducting an interview. We're going to talk, Jennifer. And you're going to tell me everything. No more lies. No more half-truths. Everything. She pulled the blanket around herself. It's 3 a.m. I don't care what time it is. Brian is calling a family meeting tonight. He's going to tell Sarah and Michael his version of events. But before he does that, I want to hear yours. Her face went pale. What do you mean? His version. Don't play dumb. I know about the texts. We need a plan. I'll handle it. Silver Lake. David, those texts aren't what you think. Then tell me what they are. Tell me what Brian was planning to handle at Silver Lake. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. But I was done being moved by her tears. She'd cried before. Probably cried to Brian about how hard it was lying to me. Probably cried after their affairs in hotel rooms, feeling guilty for all of 5 minutes before doing it again. Start from the beginning, I said. When did the affair start? David, please. When? She flinched. I'd never yelled at her like that. Not in 31 years of marriage. October 1996, she whispered. Before Sarah was born. Yes. Tell me how it started. Jennifer sat there in our bed, wrapped in the blanket we'd picked out together 5 years ago, and she told me how she'd destroyed our marriage. You were working all the time, she started. 80, 90 hours a week building the business. I was alone constantly. I was 22 years old, married less than a year, and I felt like I didn't have a husband anymore. So, you went to Brian. He was your best friend. He was around. He'd check on me, bring me dinner when you worked late. He was there when you weren't. When did it become physical? She looked away. October 14th, 1996. You were in Cleveland for a trade show. Brian came over to fix the leaking sink. We had wine. One thing led to another. October 14th, 1996. She remembered the exact date. Not approximately. Not around that time. The exact date. Which meant it mattered to her. Which meant it wasn't just a drunken mistake. And you got pregnant. Not right away. But yes, a few weeks later. I thought. I hoped it was yours. We'd been together too. But the timing. You knew Sarah. might not be mine. I suspected. I prayed I was wrong. When did you know for sure? Jennifer's voice was barely audible. When she was born. The blood type. Carol noticed immediately. She pulled me aside in the recovery room and said the numbers didn't add up. So you falsified the records. Carol did. I didn't stop her. And Brian took one look at Sarah and knew. He said she had his mother's eyes. His sister's nose. He knew. I felt sick. He delivered his own daughter. Yes. Did you think about telling me then? When Sarah was born, did you consider being honest? Every day, Jennifer said, tears streaming down her face. Every single day, David. But I loved you. I didn't want to lose you. And Sarah needed a father. Brian couldn't be that for her. He was married. He had his practice. You were there. You were so good with her. So you kept lying. And then you got pregnant again. Jennifer's silence was answer enough. Michael wasn't an accident, was it? I pressed. You deliberately got pregnant with Brian's child again. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Jennifer? Explain to me how you accidentally had a second affair, baby. Brian wanted a son. The words came out flat. Defeated. After Sarah, we tried to end things. We really did. For almost a year, we stayed away from each other. But Brian, he was obsessed. He kept calling, showing up, saying he couldn't live without me, that Sarah was his daughter and he deserved to be part of her life. So, you gave him another child. I thought if I did, he'd be satisfied. He'd leave us alone. We could move on. I laughed. It came out harsh, bitter. How did that work out? It didn't. It made everything worse. He became even more involved. Always around. Always playing the devoted godfather. Always watching you raise his children, while still sleeping with you. Not constantly. There were years where we didn't, where it really was over. When Sarah was in elementary school, we didn't see each other that way for almost 4 years. But then, she trailed off. Then what? Then you'd work late, or travel for business, and I'd be lonely again. And Brian would be there, and it would start over. For 30 years. Yes. Did you love him? Jennifer looked up at me, and for the first time, I saw something honest in her eyes. Yes, I loved him. I still love him. But David, I loved you too. I love you both. Different ways, different parts of my life. You don't get to love us both, Jennifer. That's not how this works. I know that now. I leaned forward. Tell me about Silver Lake. Jennifer's face went ashen. What about it? Tell me what Brian was planning. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. Not now. Not after everything. The texts, Jennifer. I'll handle it. What was he going to handle? He wasn't serious. What was he planning? Jennifer broke. Completely broke. The words came pouring out between sobs. He said you were getting too suspicious. That you were asking questions. Carol told him you'd confronted her. He panicked. He said we needed to do something before you found out and destroyed both our lives. So he suggested murder. He didn't say murder. He said maybe if something happened to you. An accident. A hunting accident or a drowning. That it would solve everything. I'd get your life insurance. We could finally be together. Sarah and Michael would never have to know the truth. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. And you said. I said no. I told him he was insane. I told him I could never. But you didn't go to the police. You didn't warn me. You just let him make plans while hoping he wouldn't actually do it. I thought he was just venting. Just scared. I didn't think he'd actually. He reserved the cabin, Jennifer. He invited me to go fishing. He researched accidental deaths. That's not venting. That's planning. Jennifer was sobbing now, her whole body shaking. I didn't want this. I never wanted any of this. I just wanted to be loved. Is that so wrong? I just wanted to be loved. You were loved, I said quietly. For 31 years I loved you. Completely. Faithfully. That was never enough for you, was it? She had no answer. I stood up. I need you to say it. Out loud. For the record. Say what? That Sarah and Michael are Brian's biological children. Not mine. Jennifer looked up at me, her face destroyed. Why? You already know. Say it anyway. David, say it! Fine! Fine. She took a shuddering breath. Sarah and Michael are Brian's biological children. You raised them. You loved them. You were their father in every way that mattered. But biologically, genetically, they're his. There it was. Recorded. Undeniable. Her admission that she'd lied to me for 30 years about the paternity of my children. Former children. How many people knew, I asked. What? How many people knew I was raising Brian's children while you two laughed at me behind my back? We never laughed. How many, Jennifer? Carol. Diane. That's it. I swear. Diane knew from the beginning. No. She found out about 5 years ago. Brian's been paying her to stay quiet. And Carol? From the beginning. She's my sister. I needed someone. I thought about all the family gatherings, holidays, birthdays. Carol and Diane both there, smiling at me, making small talk, all while knowing the truth. Everyone knew but me. Did Sarah and Michael ever suspect? No, never. David, they love you. You're their father. This doesn't change that. This changes everything. I walked to the door. Where are you going? Jennifer's voice was panicked. Away from you. David, wait. Please, we can work through this. Couples therapy, marriage counseling, whatever you need. I turned back to face her. Jennifer, in a few hours I'm filing for divorce. I'm pressing criminal charges against you and Brian for falsifying medical records. I'm going to the medical board to have Brian's license revoked. And I'm telling Sarah and Michael the truth. All of it. No. No, you can't. It'll destroy them. You destroyed them when you lied to them for their entire lives. I'm just revealing what you did. David, please. I'm begging you. Don't tell them. Let them believe. Let them think you're their father. What good does the truth do now? The truth sets people free, Jennifer. Even if it hurts. My phone buzzed. A text from Diane. Got it. Coming to Griffin's office. Meet us there. She'd gotten Brian's confession. I left Jennifer crying in our bedroom and walked out of the house. I didn't look back. Didn't say goodbye. Just left. Griffin's office was in darkness except for his conference room. Diane was already there when I arrived at 4:15 a.m. She looked shaken, but triumphant. Play it, Griffin said. Diane pulled out her phone and connected it to the conference room speakers. Her voice came through first. Brian, wake up. We need to talk. Brian, groggy. Diane, what time is it? What are you doing here? It's over. The arrangement. The lies. All of it. David knows everything. A long pause. Then Brian's voice, suddenly alert. What do you mean, everything? Jennifer. The affair. Sarah and Michael. The falsified birth records. The Silver Lake plan. Everything. Jesus Christ. How did he? Who told him? Does it matter? It's over, Brian. Your perfect little double life is finished. Diane, listen to me. We can fix this. If David knows, we need to control the damage. I'll talk to him. Man to man. I'll explain. Explain what? That you've been sleeping with his wife for 30 years. That you delivered your own children while he stood there like an idiot. That you were planning to kill him. I wasn't going to kill him. That was just, I was upset. I wasn't thinking clearly. So you did consider it? No. I mean, yes, I thought about it, but I would never actually. Diane, you have to believe me. I don't have to believe anything. Not anymore. Brian's voice got desperate. What do you want? More money. The house. I'll give you whatever you want. Just help me contain this. I don't want your money, Brian. I want you to lose everything. Your practice, your reputation, your relationship with Sarah and Michael. I want you to feel what I've felt for 5 years. Diane, please, tell me the truth. Are Sarah and Michael your biological children? A long silence. Then, yes, say it clearly. For the record. Yes, Sarah and Michael are my biological children. Jennifer and I. We had an affair that resulted in both pregnancies. And David raised them as his own, not knowing. Yes, and you falsified their birth records to hide your paternity. I didn't falsify them.
Carol did. I didn't correct them. Same thing. Diane, what are you doing? Are you recording this? Sound of movement. Then, what if I am? You can't. That's not legal. One-party consent state, Brian. I can record any conversation I'm part of. Why are you doing this? Because you deserve it. Because David deserves the truth. Because I'm done being your accomplice. I'll fight this. I'll deny everything. It's your word against mine, is it? What about the texts, the hotel receipts, the financial transfers to Jennifer? What about the DNA test David ran? What about the letters you wrote to Jennifer that I've kept for 5 years? Long silence. Then Brian's voice, quiet and defeated. You've been planning this. For 5 years. The moment I found out, I started collecting evidence, waiting for the right moment. And now David knows, and he's going to destroy you. And I'm going to help him. Diane, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. For everything. Just don't do this. It's already done. The recording ended. Griffin looked at both of us. These recordings are admissible in court. We have clear admissions of adultery, paternity fraud, falsifying medical records, and discussion of potential violence. This is better than I hoped. What happens now? I asked. Now we file. Divorce for both of you. Criminal complaints with the district attorney's office. Complaints to the medical board regarding Brian's ethics violations. And we prepare for the fallout. The kids, I said. Sarah and Michael. They need to know before this becomes public. Diane nodded. They deserve to hear it from you, not from lawyers or the media. How do I tell them? I looked at both of them. How do I tell my children, his children, that their entire lives have been a lie? Carefully, Griffin said. Honestly. And soon, because once we file these documents, it becomes public record. You have maybe 48 hours before reporters start digging. At 5 a.m., as we were planning next steps, Griffin's office intercom buzzed. His night security guard. Mr. Thorne? There's a doctor, Brian Caldwell here. He's very insistent about seeing Mr. Morrison. He says it's an emergency. We all froze. He followed you, Diane said. He must have tracked your phone or followed your car. What do? I asked Griffin. You can refuse to see him. In fact, I'd advise. No. I stood up. I'll see him. One last time. Let me say everything I've wanted to say for the past week. David, that's not smart. I don't care if it's smart. Send him up. Griffin sighed. Fine, but I'm recording this conversation too. And if he gets violent, building security is right outside. 2 minutes later, Brian walked into the conference room. He looked terrible. Hair disheveled, still in pajama pants and a jacket, eyes wild and desperate. He saw me, then Diane, then the recorder on the table. Dave, he said, please, let me explain. I stood up, faced the man who'd been my best friend for 35 years. Explain what, Brian? Explain how you betrayed me? How you slept with my wife? How you fathered my children? How you were planning to murder me? I wasn't going to kill you. That was never serious. Then why did you reserve the cabin? Why did you research hunting accidents? Why did you Google staging an accidental drowning? Brian's face crumbled. I was scared, desperate. I wasn't thinking clearly, but I would never actually hurt you, Dave. You're my brother. Brothers don't do what you did. I know. Tears were streaming down his face now. It started as a mistake. One night. One stupid night. And then it kept happening. And then Sarah was born, and I looked at her and I knew. She was mine. My daughter. And I couldn't claim her. Couldn't tell anyone. I had to watch you be her father while I was just... Uncle Brian. Poor you, I said coldly. How hard that must have been. Watching me love and raise your children while you fucked my wife in hotel rooms. Dave, did you ever feel guilty? Even once. Or did you just enjoy it? Enjoy having everything? Your successful practice. Your comfortable marriage. Your secret family. Did you laugh at me? Did you tell Jennifer what a fool I was? No! Never! Dave, I hated myself every day for what I was doing. But I couldn't stop. I loved her. I loved them. Sarah and Michael, They're my children. I deserve to be part of their lives. You forfeited that right when you lied. Brian dropped to his knees. Actually dropped to his knees in front of me. I'm begging you, don't tell them. Don't tell Sarah and Michael. Let them go on believing. They love you. You're their father. This will destroy them. You destroyed them. You and Jennifer. I'm just revealing what you did. David, please. Get up, Brian. Have some dignity. He stood, wiping his eyes. What do you want? Tell me what you want. Money? I'll give you everything. The practice. My investments. Whatever you want. I want my life back. I want the last 30 years back. Can you give me that? No. But I can. Then we're done here. I turned to leave. Brian grabbed my arm. Dave, brother, please. I looked down at his hand on my arm, then at his face. This man I'd trusted with everything. This man who destroyed everything. We were never brothers, I said. We were never even friends. You were just a liar who was good at pretending. I pulled my arm away and walked out. Behind me, I could hear Brian breaking down, sobbing. Diane's voice, cold and final. Get out, Brian. It's over. At 6:47 a.m., as the sun was rising, I sat in my truck outside Griffin's office and did what I'd been putting off. I called Sarah. She answered on the second ring, her voice heavy with sleep. Dad, it's so early. Is everything okay? No, honey. Everything is not okay. I need you and Michael to meet me. Today, this morning, there's something I need to tell you both. Tell us what? I took a deep breath. The truth. About your mother. About Brian. About everything. Silence. Then in a small voice. Am I going to want to hear this? No. But you need to. Okay. Okay. Where? My office. 9 a.m. Make sure Michael comes. Dad, you're scaring me. I know. I'm sorry. I love you, Sarah. I love you too. I hung up. Sat there as the sun climbed higher. In 2 hours I would tell my children, Brian's children, that their entire lives had been a lie. In 2 hours I would watch their world shatter. And there was nothing I could do to stop it. Because the truth doesn't care who it hurts. It just is. 9:01 a.m. Friday morning. I sat in my office conference room, staring at the 2 manila folders in front of me. Each one contained DNA test results, medical records, and documents that would destroy 2 lives. My children were about to walk through that door, except they weren't my children. Not biologically. And in a few minutes they would know. I'm David Morrison. I've spent the last week uncovering a 30-year conspiracy. I've recorded confessions. I've gathered evidence. I've prepared to destroy my wife and my former best friend in court. But this, telling Sarah and Michael the truth, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Because after today, nothing will ever be the same. Sarah arrived first at 8:47. She looked nervous, clutching her purse like a lifeline. She'd dressed carefully, jeans and a sweater, like she'd put thought into what to wear to hear terrible news. Dad, she hugged me tight. What's going on? Wait for Michael. I only want to say this once. Say what once? I couldn't answer, just gestured to a chair. Michael walked in at 8:58. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept. He probably hadn't. Not after my cryptic message last night telling him to skip Brian's family meeting. Dad, you look terrible, he said. When's the last time you slept? A while. He sat down next to Sarah. They looked at each other, then at me. I could see the fear in their eyes, the dread. They knew something was coming. Something bad. Okay, Michael said. We're here. Talk to us. I sat down across from them. My children, the kids I'd raised from birth. Sarah's first steps. Michael's first words. Every birthday. Every Christmas. Every scraped knee and broken heart and triumph and failure. All of it was real. All of it mattered. But biology mattered too. At least that's what I'd learned this past week. What I'm about to tell you, I started, is going to change everything you thought you knew about your family. About yourselves. And I need you to let me say it all before you ask questions. Can you do that? Sarah's hand found Michael's. Okay. Your mother has been having an affair with Brian Caldwell for 30 years, since before either of you were born. The words hung in the air. Sarah's face went pale. Michael's jaw clenched. I know about the affair, Sarah said quietly. I saw them. I told you. I know. But there's more. I pushed the folders across the table. These are DNA test results, medical records, birth certificates, documentation that your mother and Carol, your Aunt Carol, falsified when you were born. Falsified what? Michael asked. Your blood types. My blood type. To hide the truth. What truth? But Michael's voice was shaking, like he already knew, like some part of him had always known. You're not my biological children, either of you. Brian Caldwell is your biological father. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Sarah opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No sound came out. Michael just stared at me. That's not funny, Dad. I wish it was a joke. I wish I was lying. But I'm not. I tapped the folders. Read them. The DNA tests are conclusive. Sarah, you're 99.98% probability Brian's daughter. Michael, 99.97%. There's no margin of error. No mistake. This is insane, Michael said. You're having a breakdown or something. You need to... I recorded your mother's confession last night at 3 a.m. She admitted everything. The affair, the pregnancies, the falsified records. All of it. Sarah finally found her voice. No, that's not possible. Mom wouldn't. Mom did. For 30 years. And Brian, Uncle Brian, he knew. From the day you were born, he knew you were his. He delivered you both, his own children, while I stood there like an idiot, thanking him for being such a good friend. Michael stood up suddenly, his chair scraping back. I don't believe you. Then read the DNA results. Those could be faked. They're not. Call the lab. Gene Tech Solutions. Ask them yourself. Sarah was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. Dad, why are you doing this? Because you deserve the truth. The truth? She looked up at me, and I saw something break in her eyes. The truth is that you're my father. You walked me down the aisle. You taught me to ride a bike. You were there for every soccer game, every school play, every moment of my entire life. That's the truth that matters. I know. And I was there for all of it. I loved you both with everything I had. But Sarah, you need to understand what was done to you. To all of us. Michael grabbed the folders, started reading. His face went from angry to confused to horrified. The blood types, he said quietly. AB negative, can't produce O positive offspring. That's right. And you're AB negative. Yes, but we're both O positive. Yes, he kept reading. This DNA test, it compares us to someone labeled Sample C. Brian Caldwell. Yes, and the probability of paternity is 99.97%. Yes. Michael closed the folder, set it down carefully. Then he looked at me with eyes that were completely empty. I don't understand. How is this possible? How did you not know? They falsified the birth records, changed my blood type on your birth certificates to make it match. Carol did it. She's a nurse practitioner. She had access. Aunt Carol knew. From the beginning. Sarah was shaking her head. No. Everyone knew. Mom, Uncle Brian, Aunt Carol. Everyone knew except us. And me. I just found out last week. Routine blood test. The doctor noticed the discrepancy. Michael exploded. He threw the folder across the room. Papers scattering everywhere. 30 years! 30 fucking years and nobody told us. Mom looked us in the eye every single day and lied. Brian! His voice broke. Brian is our father and he just pretended to be Uncle Brian. What the hell is wrong with these people? Michael! Don't try to calm me down. He was pacing now, hands in his hair. My entire life is a lie. Everything I thought I knew about myself is wrong. My medical history is wrong. My ancestry is wrong. When I filled out those forms at the doctor asking about family history, I lied without knowing it because nobody had the decency to tell me the truth. Sarah was sobbing openly now. I look like Mom. Everyone always said I look just like Mom. But do I look like him? Like Brian? The question hung there.
I'd wondered the same thing. Now that I knew, could I see it? Brian's eyes, his nose, his smile. I don't know, I said honestly. And you, Sarah looked at me. You're not my dad. Those words, like knives. I raised you. I loved you. I am your dad in every way that matters. But biologically, I'm Brian Caldwell's daughter. My godfather is actually my father. The man who gave me a savings bond every birthday was actually giving his daughter money. The man who taught me to drive, that was you. But the man whose genes I have. She couldn't finish. Sarah, does he know? Does Brian know we're his kids? He's always known. Always. From the day you were born. And he never said anything. Never told us. Just let us grow up thinking. She stood up suddenly. I need to talk to Mom. Right now. Sarah, wait. No! I need to hear this from her. I need to look her in the eye and ask her how she could do this. Michael was already heading for the door. I'm going with you. Kids, wait. Please. Let's talk about this first. Let's. Sarah turned on me, and the look on her face made me step back. Don't call us kids. Don't call us your kids. We're not, right? We're Brian's kids. We've always been Brian's kids. You were just... What? The stand-in? The guy who paid the bills while our real father played uncle. Sarah, that's not fair. Not fair! She was screaming now. You want to talk about fair? Nothing about this is fair. Nothing about this is okay. You ambushed us with this information. I gave you the truth. I didn't want the truth. I wanted my dad. I wanted my family. I wanted to not know that my mother is a cheating liar, and my uncle is actually my father, and my entire existence is based on a lie. She ran out. Michael followed. I stood there in my empty conference room, surrounded by scattered DNA results, and listened to them go. I called Jennifer. She answered on the first ring. David, Sarah and Michael know. They're on their way to you. They're angry. Be prepared. You told them. Her voice was hollow. You actually told them. They deserved to know. They deserved a father who loved them. They had that. Why did you have to destroy it? I didn't destroy it, Jennifer. You did, 30 years ago, when you decided to sleep with my best friend. I hate you, she whispered. I know. Get ready. They'll be there in 10 minutes. I hung up. Then I got in my truck and I drove to Jennifer's house. Our house. I needed to be there. Not to intervene. They deserved to confront her. But to be there. Just in case. I parked down the street and waited. Sarah's Honda pulled into the driveway at 9:47. Both kids got out and marched to the front door. Sarah didn't knock. Just used her key and walked in. I could hear yelling from the street. Indistinct words, but the anger was clear. Then the front door opened, and Jennifer stumbled out onto the porch. Sarah was screaming at her from the doorway. Could you do this to us? How could you lie for our entire lives? Sarah, please, don't. Don't try to explain. There's no explanation that makes this okay. I was trying to protect you. Protect us. Michael appeared in the doorway behind Sarah. You were protecting yourself. You didn't want us to know what a liar you are. That's not true. I love you both. Everything I did, everything you did, was for you and Brian. Where is he? Does he know? Does he know we know? I haven't talked to him. Bullshit. You talk to him every day. You've been talking to him for 30 years! Sarah was crying and screaming at the same time. Did you ever love Dad, the man who raised us? Or was he just convenient? I loved him. I still love him. You don't know what love is. Jennifer saw me then. Saw my truck parked down the street. Our eyes met. David! Please, help me! Talk to them. Sarah and Michael turned. Saw me. For a moment, no one moved. Then Sarah walked down the driveway toward me. I got out of the truck. Did you know? She asked. All these years, did you suspect anything? No, I only found out last week. I swear. And you've been investigating, gathering evidence, planning revenge. Yes, good. Her face was hard, cold. Destroy them, Mom and Brian. Destroy them both. They deserve it. Sarah, I mean it. Whatever you're planning to do to them legally, do it. I'll testify if you need me to. I'll tell everyone what they did. You don't mean that. Yes, I do. She looked back at Jennifer, who was standing on the porch looking broken. She's not my mother anymore. I don't have a mother. And Brian is not my father. I don't have a father either. Sarah, that's not true. You have me. She looked at me, and I saw the pain in her eyes. The confusion. The grief. Do I? Are you sure you still want to be my dad, now that you know I'm not really yours? The question hit me like a physical blow. Of course I do. Sarah, I've loved you since the moment you were born. Biology doesn't change that. But it changes everything else, doesn't it? It changes who I am. What I am. I have Brian's genes. His medical history. His everything. And I never knew. I grew up thinking I was half you. And I'm not. You're still you. You're still my daughter. Nothing changes that. Everything changes that. She turned and walked back to Michael. They got in her car and drove away, leaving me standing in the street. Jennifer still on the porch crying. And a marriage, a family, a life, all of it, shattered, beyond repair. An hour later, my phone rang. Brian, I answered. What do you want? They came to my office. Sarah and Michael. They know. I'm aware. Dave, they hate me. My own children hate me. They're not your children. Not legally. You forfeited any right to them when you chose to lie. I need to talk to them. Explain. There's nothing to explain. You slept with my wife. You got her pregnant. Twice. You falsified medical records. You played uncle for 28 and 25 years while knowing the truth. What's left to explain? How much I loved them. How much I wanted to be their father. How hard it was watching you. I don't care how hard it was for you, Brian. This is what you chose. I'm losing everything. His voice cracked. My children won't talk to me. Diane's filing for divorce. The medical board opened an investigation this morning. My partners are pushing me out of the practice. David, I'm losing everything. Good. You really hate me that much? I thought about the question. Did I hate him? After 35 years of friendship, after everything we'd shared, did I hate him? No, I said finally. I don't hate you. I pity you. You threw away everything for an affair. You lied to everyone you claimed to love. You lived a double life for 3 decades. And now it's all falling apart. I don't hate you, Brian. I just don't care about you anymore. Dave, don't call me again. My lawyer will handle everything from here. I hung up. At 2 p.m., Sarah came back to my office. Alone this time. Her eyes were red and swollen. She'd been crying for hours. Dad? The word sounded hesitant, like she wasn't sure she should use it anymore. Come in, honey. She sat down. We stared at each other. I talked to Marcus, she said finally. My husband. I told him everything. Do you know what he said? I shook my head. He said it doesn't matter. He said you're my dad because you raised me. Because you loved me. Because biology is just genetics, but family is choice. And you chose to be my father every single day of my life. Tears burned in my eyes. Marcus is a smart man. He also said I should talk to you. Really talk to you. Before I say things I can't take back. She took a shaky breath. So I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. Okay. Now that you know I'm not biologically yours, do you still want to be my dad? Sarah, I need to hear you say it. Because I'm terrified that this changes things. That you'll look at me differently. That every time you see me, you'll think about Brian and Mom and what they did. And you won't be able to love me the same way. I stood up and walked around the desk, knelt down in front of her chair so we were eye level. Listen to me. Really listen. You are my daughter. Not because of biology. Not because some DNA test says so or doesn't say so. You're my daughter because I was there when you were born. Because I walked the floor with you at 3 a.m. when you wouldn't stop crying. Because I taught you to read. Because I scared away your first boyfriend when he wasn't good enough for you. Because I walked you down the aisle. Because every single day of your life, I have loved you. Sarah was crying. But what if you can't help it? What if you look at me and all you see is, I see you. I see Sarah, my daughter, my little girl, who used to hold my hand crossing the street. My brilliant, beautiful, stubborn daughter who became a nurse because she wanted to help people. That's what I see. That's all I've ever seen. Even now. Especially now. She threw her arms around me and sobbed. But I'm so sorry, Daddy. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I held her. My daughter. Biology be damned. You have nothing to be sorry for. You didn't do anything wrong. But Mom, your mother's choices are not your responsibility. What she did to me, to you, to all of us, that's on her. Not you. We stayed like that for a long time. Father and daughter. Real. In all the ways that mattered. Michael didn't come back that day. Or the next. On Sunday, he finally called. Dad, can we talk? Of course. Anytime. Not on the phone. Can you meet me somewhere? We met at Riverside Park. The place where this had all started to unravel. Full circle. Michael looked terrible. Like he hadn't slept or eaten in days. I've been doing research, he said. About paternity. About what it means. Legally, biologically, emotionally. All of it. Okay. Legally, you're my father. Your name is on my birth certificate. You raised me. Paid for everything. The law doesn't care about biology. That's correct. Biologically, Brian is my father. We share DNA. Medical history. Genetic traits. That's just science. Yes. But emotionally, he paused. Emotionally, I don't know what the hell I am. I don't know who I am anymore. You're Michael. You're my son. Am I? He looked at me. Because I look in the mirror now and I don't see you. I see him. Brian. I have his eyes. Did you know that? I was looking through old photos of him, and he has the exact same eyes. The same nose. When I smile like him. You smile like yourself, Michael. No, I smile like my biological father, the man who's been pretending to be my uncle my whole life. And I hate it. I hate looking in the mirror and seeing him. Michael, I've been angry at Mom, at Brian, at everyone. But Dad, his voice cracked. I'm also angry at you. The words hit me hard. At me? You told us. You could have just not told us. We could have gone our whole lives not knowing. Happy. Ignorant. But you told us. And now everything's ruined. Everything's different. And I can't unknow it. I can't go back to before. You deserve the truth. Did we? Did we really? Because the truth sucks, Dad. The truth means I don't know who I am anymore. The truth means my mother is a liar and my uncle is my father and you're... What are you? The man who raised someone else's kid? I'm your father. That hasn't changed. But it has. It's different now. Before I was your son, your flesh and blood. Your legacy. Now I'm just some other guy's kid that you happen to raise. How is that the same? Because I love you. That's what makes you my son. Michael shook his head. I need time. I need to figure out who I am. Who I'm supposed to be. And I can't do that with you around reminding me of everything I've lost. The words cut deep. What are you saying? I'm saying I need space. From you. From Mom. From Brian. From all of it. I need to figure out my life without everyone telling me what I should feel or think or believe. Michael, please, I'm sorry, Dad. I know this isn't fair to you. You didn't do anything wrong. But I can't. I can't be around you right now. Every time I see you, I'm reminded that you're not my real father. And I can't handle that. He stood up, started walking away. Michael, I called after him. You'll always be my son, no matter what. I'll be here when you're ready. He didn't turn around, just kept walking. And I sat there on that bench watching my son, Brian's son, walk out of my life. At least for now. That night I sat in my empty house. Jennifer had moved out, staying with Carol, and I took stock of what I had left. Sarah still talked to me, still called me Dad, still loved me, or at least said she did. Michael needed space, maybe forever, maybe just until he figured out who he was. Jennifer was gone. The divorce papers would be filed Monday morning. Brian was losing everything. His medical practice, his marriage, his relationship with his biological children. And me? I had the truth. I had evidence. I had my dignity back. But I'd lost my family. Was it worth it? The revenge, the destruction, the truth. I didn't know anymore. At 11:37 p.m., someone knocked on my door. I opened it to find Brian standing there, drunk, swaying on his feet. "I need to tell you something," he slurred. "Something I should have told you 30 years ago. Brian, go home." "No, no, you need to hear this. About Jennifer. About why the affair started. About—" He looked up at me with red, bleary eyes. "About Sarah. Sarah's not mine." I froze. "What? Sarah? She's not mine." I lied about the DNA. I paid the lab. I wanted her to be mine so badly that I made it happen. But she's yours, Dave. She's always been yours. He collapsed on my porch, passed out drunk, and I stood there, staring down at him, my mind reeling. If Sarah was mine, if Brian had lied about the DNA results, then what was real? What was true? And how much had I destroyed based on a lie? Brian Caldwell lay passed out drunk on my porch at midnight, and his last words before collapsing echoed in my head. "Sarah's not mine. I lied about the DNA. I paid the lab." I stood there, staring down at the man who'd been my best friend for 35 years, and felt my world tilt again. If Sarah was mine, if Brian had fabricated the DNA results, then I'd destroyed everything based on a lie. But if he was lying now, if this was one final manipulation from a desperate man, then I'd almost fallen for it. I'm David Morrison. For 9 days I've been unraveling the truth about my life. Now, with one drunken confession, everything is in question again. Was any of it real? Or was I being played from the beginning? I dragged Brian inside and dumped him on my couch. Made coffee. Strong black coffee. Then I sat across from him and waited for him to regain consciousness. It took 20 minutes. When his eyes finally opened, he looked around confused. "Dave? What? Where am I? My house!" "You showed up drunk. You said something about Sarah, about lying about the DNA test." His face went pale. "I said that out loud. You said Sarah isn't yours, that you paid the lab to fake the results. Is that true?" Brian sat up slowly, holding his head. I don't remember. I was drunk. I am drunk. Brian." I leaned forward. "This is important. Did you lie about the DNA results?" He looked at me for a long moment. Then he started laughing. Not happy laughter. Bitter, broken laughter. "You want to know the truth? The real truth?" "Yes. The truth is I wanted Sarah to be mine so badly that I convinced myself she was." I looked at her, and I saw what I wanted to see. My eyes. My mother's nose. But DNA doesn't lie, Dave. You know that now? So you didn't fake the results? No, I couldn't fake them. You went to the lab yourself. You collected the samples yourself. How could I have faked them? He was right. I'd collected Sarah's hair from her brush, Michael's toothbrush from his apartment, Brian's saliva from his beer glass. There'd been no opportunity for him to interfere. "Then why did you say, 'Because I'm a bastard who wanted to hurt you one more time'?" His voice was cold. Sober, despite the alcohol. "You've taken everything from me. My children won't talk to me. My wife is divorcing me. The medical board is investigating me. My partners forced me out of my practice today. I have nothing left, Dave. So I figured, why not mess with your head one last time? Why not make you doubt everything? Make you wonder if you destroyed your family over a lie?" I stared at him. "You're a sociopath. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just a man who loved a woman for 30 years and lost her. Lost everything. And wanted to make the man who destroyed it all feel even a fraction of what I'm feeling. I didn't destroy anything. You did that yourself. Did I? Or did you? You could have kept quiet. Could have let the lie continue. Sarah and Michael never had to know. But you just had to have your revenge. Had to tell the truth. And now look at us. Everyone's miserable. Everyone's broken. Was it worth it, Dave? Was the truth worth destroying your family? The question hung between us. After Brian left, I called him a cab, didn't trust him to drive. I sat in my living room at 2 a.m. and called Amy at Gene Tech Solutions. It went to voicemail. Of course it did. It was the middle of the night. "This is David Morrison. I ran paternity tests last week. I need you to call me as soon as possible. It's urgent. I need to verify that the results weren't tampered with. Then I called Griffin. He answered on the fourth ring, groggy. This better be important. Brian showed up drunk. He claimed he faked the DNA results. That Sarah is actually mine. Silence. Then, that's not possible. That's what I thought. But I need to be sure. David, you collected the samples yourself. You brought them to an independent lab. There's no way Brian could have tampered with them. But what if he paid the lab? What if? Then we'll find out. I'll call Gene Tech first thing in the morning. We'll verify everything. But David, listen to me. You can't let him get in your head. This is exactly what he wants. What if he's telling the truth? He's not. The blood types don't lie. You're AB negative. Sarah is O positive. That's genetically impossible. Even if he somehow faked the DNA test, which he didn't, he can't fake basic genetics. The blood types. I'd almost forgotten about that. The thing that started this entire investigation. You're right, I said. You're right. I'm just tired. Get some sleep. We'll verify everything in the morning. Don't spiral on this. But I couldn't sleep. I pulled out Sarah's birth records again, looked at the blood types. Sarah Morrison, type O positive. Mother, Jennifer Morrison, type A, positive. Father, David Morrison, type O positive. But I wasn't type O positive. I was AB negative. Doctor, Patterson had tested me twice. Unless a terrible thought occurred to me. What if Dr. Patterson had made a mistake? What if the blood test results were wrong, not the DNA? At 8:30 a.m., I was back in Dr. Patterson's office. He looked surprised to see me. David, I wasn't expecting you. Is everything okay? I need another blood test. Another one? We just did comprehensive blood work 2 weeks ago. I need to verify my blood type. Triple check it, Doctor. Patterson frowned. Is there a problem? Did something happen? I sat down heavily. I need to know with absolute certainty that I'm AB negative. Can you test me again? Right now. Of course. But David, blood types don't change. If you're AB negative now, you were AB negative 2 weeks ago. I know. I need to be sure. 20 minutes later, I watched my blood flow into the vial again. Doctor. Patterson took it to the lab himself. I sat in the waiting room, my leg bouncing nervously. What if I'd been wrong this whole time? What if the original test was an error? What if I'd destroyed my marriage, alienated my son, traumatized my children over a lab mistake? Doctor. Patterson came back 30 minutes later. He looked grim. David, you're AB negative. Confirmed. The lab tech actually ran it twice because I told her to double check. There's no mistake. I slumped in my chair. So Sarah can't be mine. Based on blood types, no. AB negative cannot produce an O positive child. What about Michael? Same thing. You cannot be the biological father of either child if they're both O positive. Could the hospital have made a mistake about their blood types? Unlikely. Blood types are tested immediately at birth for medical safety reasons. And they've likely had their blood typed multiple times since, for sports physicals, medical emergencies. If there was a discrepancy, it would have been caught. So it was true. All of it. The DNA results were correct. The blood types confirmed it. Brian was lying when he showed up drunk. One final manipulation from a desperate man. Amy from Gene Tech called me at 10:45 a.m. Mr. Morrison, I got your message. I want to assure you our lab results were not tampered with. We have strict protocols. Can you walk me through them? Please. I need to understand how certain we can be. Of course. When you brought in the samples, they were logged into our system with unique identification numbers. The samples never left our secure facility. They were tested by 2 different technicians using separate equipment. The results were verified by our lab director. There's no way for an outside party to have influenced the results. What if someone paid you? Bribed someone in the lab? Mr. Morrison, I understand you're going through something difficult, but that's not possible. The samples are anonymous, labeled only with numbers, not names. The technicians who ran the tests had no idea who you were or what the results meant. And even if someone tried to bribe them, they'd have to bribe multiple people across different shifts. It's simply not feasible. So, the results are accurate. Yes, 99.98%. and 99.97% probability of paternity between sample C and samples A and B. Those are conclusive results. And sample D, me, 0.0% probability of paternity with both samples. You are not the biological father of either child. The words were clinical. Final. True. Thank you, I said quietly. After I hung up, I texted Brian. I verified everything. You lied. Again. Don't contact me again. His response came immediately. I know. I'm sorry. For everything. I'm so sorry. I blocked his number. Sarah came to see me that afternoon. She'd heard about Brian's drunken visit. Small town, word travels fast. And wanted to check on me. Dad, Marcus saw Brian at a bar last night. He said Brian was drinking heavily and talking about you. Did he come here? He did. He tried to tell me the DNA results were fake, that you were actually mine. Sarah's face went through a series of emotions. Fear. Confusion. Are they? Could they be wrong? No. I had everything verified this morning. Blood types, DNA results, lab protocols. It's all accurate. Brian and your mother are your biological parents. Not me. She sat down on my couch, exactly where Brian had been passed out hours earlier. Part of me hoped. Part of me wanted it to be a mistake. Not because I don't love you, but because it would be simpler, less complicated. I know, but it's not a mistake. No. So Brian Caldwell is my biological father. She said it like she was testing the words, seeing how they felt. The man who delivered me, who gave me savings bonds, who taught me to drive when you were busy with Michael's soccer tournament. He was always around, because he wanted to be close to his daughter. Sarah looked at me. Did he love me, do you think? Or was I just evidence of his affair? I think he loved you, in his own twisted way. He just loved his secrets more. I don't want to talk to him. He keeps calling, texting, saying he wants to explain. I don't care about his explanations. You don't have to talk to him. But legally, he's my father. Does he have rights? Can he force me to? No. You're 28 years old. An adult. You get to decide who's in your life. And legally, I'm your father. My name is on your birth certificate. That doesn't change. Good. She reached over and took my hand. Because you're my dad. The only dad I want. Brian might share my DNA, but you share my life. All 28 years of it. That matters more. It does to me, too. I talked to Michael, she said quietly. He's struggling more than I am. I think he's having an identity crisis. He keeps saying he doesn't know who he is anymore. He said he needed space from me. He needs space from everyone. He quit his job yesterday. Told them he needed time off for a family emergency. He's been staying in a hotel, just thinking. Should I reach out to him? I don't know. Maybe give him another few days. He'll come around. He loves you. He's just confused right now. I hope she was right, but I wasn't sure. That evening, Jennifer showed up. I hadn't seen her since the kids had confronted her. She looked terrible. Weight loss, dark circles under her eyes, hair unwashed. Can I come in? She asked. No. David, please. I just need 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I let her in. We stood in the entryway. I didn't invite her further into the house. I heard Brian came here last night. Tried to say the DNA was fake. He did. It wasn't. I know. I wanted you to know I didn't put him up to that. I would never. Jennifer, why are you here? She took a shaky breath. I want to ask you not to press charges. Against me or Brian. The divorce, fine. Take everything. The house, the money, whatever you want. But please don't pursue criminal charges. Please don't try to take Brian's medical license. Why should I do that? Because Sarah and Michael are suffering. Every time this is in the news, every time there's a court hearing, they have to relive it. Their friends know. Their co-workers know. Everyone knows their family is a scandal. Please, David. For them. Not for me. Let them have some peace. You should have thought about that 30 years ago. I know. I made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. But punishing me and Brian doesn't unmake those mistakes. It just hurts everyone more. I studied her. This woman I'd loved for 31 years. She looked broken, defeated. The district attorney is reviewing the case, I said. Whether to press charges isn't entirely up to me anymore. But I'll think about it. Thank you. That's all I ask. She turned to leave, then stopped. David? Do you hate me? Did I? That was the question everyone kept asking. No, I said honestly. I don't hate you. I don't love you either. I don't feel much of anything when I look at you anymore. You're just someone I used to know. Jennifer flinched like I'd slapped her. That's worse than hate. Maybe, but it's the truth. And we're all about truth now, aren't we? She left without another word. At 8 p.m., Diane Caldwell called. David, I need to tell you something. About Brian. What about him? He tried to kill himself this afternoon. My stomach dropped. What? Pills? He took a bottle of sleeping pills. His housekeeper found him and called 911. They pumped his stomach. He's going to be okay physically, but... She paused. They put him on a psychiatric hold. He's in the hospital under observation. I sat down heavily. Jesus. I thought you should know. Sarah and Michael. They should probably know too. He's asking for them. Does he deserve to see them? I don't know. Probably not. But if he dies, if he tries again and succeeds, they'll have to live with not saying goodbye. That's its own kind of burden. She was right. I hated that she was right. I'll tell them, but it's their choice whether they go. I know. David. Diane's voice softened. I know I said I wanted to destroy him. And I did. I do. But I didn't want this. I didn't want him to. I still loved him once. Seeing him like this, I understand. Do you? Because I'm not sure I understand anything anymore. We set out for revenge. We got it. And now everyone's miserable. What was the point? The truth. The point was the truth. Was it worth it? I thought about Sarah, still calling me Dad, but struggling with her identity. Michael, holed up in a hotel room trying to figure out who he was. Jennifer, broken and begging. Brian, in a hospital after trying to end his life. And me, alone in my empty house with my evidence and my righteous anger and my hollow victory. I don't know, I admitted. I honestly don't know anymore. I called Sarah, told her about Brian. She was quiet for a long time. Should I go see him? That's up to you. What would you do? I'm not sure that's relevant. He's not my father. But you raised kids. If Michael was in the hospital, would you go? In a heartbeat? Even though he's not yours. He's mine in all the ways that matter. Then Brian's mine in some ways too, isn't he? The biology ways. The DNA ways. Even if I hate him, she went. Michael too. I drove them both to the hospital at 10 p.m. Do you want me to come in with you? I asked. No, Sarah said. We need to do this alone. I waited in the parking lot. They were in there for 47 minutes. When they came out, both were crying. Sarah got in the passenger seat and buried her face in her hands. He kept apologizing, she said through tears. Over and over, saying he loved us. That he'd always loved us. That he wanted to be our father but couldn't. That, lying to us, was the worst thing he'd ever done. What did you say? I told him I forgave him. I looked at her, surprised. Not for you, she said quickly. Not for Mom. I'll never forgive what he did to you. But for me, for lying to me about who I am. I forgave him, because holding on to that anger was killing me. And seeing him in that hospital bed, so broken, I realized he's already punished himself more than I ever could. Michael was quiet in the back seat. Finally, he spoke. He's my father. Biologically, and I look like him. I have his eyes, his nose, his DNA. I can't change that. No, I agreed. But you're my dad. You raised me. You loved me. You were there for everything that mattered. And I'm sorry I said I needed space from you. I was wrong. I don't need space from you. I need you. Because whatever my DNA says, you're still my father in all the ways that count. I reached back and grabbed his hand. You're still my son. You always will be. The next morning, I called Griffin. I want to drop the criminal charges. David, are you sure? We have enough evidence to... I'm sure. Jennifer's right. Every court hearing, every news story. It just hurts Sarah and Michael more. They've been through enough. What about the medical board complaint? Keep that. Brian falsified medical records. He delivered his own children without disclosing his conflict of interest. That's an ethics violation. He should lose his license. But the criminal stuff, let it go. And the divorce? Full steam ahead. I want everything that's legally mine. The house, half the assets, all of it. She doesn't get to destroy my life and keep the comfortable lifestyle I built. Understood. I'll file the paperwork today. And Griffin, thank you for everything. You did the hard part, David. You found the truth. You stood up for yourself. I just handled the paperwork. After I hung up, I sat in my empty house and thought about what came next. The divorce would take months. Sarah and Michael were speaking to me again. But things were different now. Strained. We were rebuilding trust, but it was slow work. Brian would live. He'd lose his medical license probably, but he'd live. He'd never be part of Sarah and Michael's lives in any real way. The man who'd been their uncle for 28 and 25 years was gone. The biological father they'd just discovered couldn't replace what he'd destroyed. Jennifer would move on eventually. Find someone else maybe. Live with the guilt of what she'd done. Or maybe she wouldn't feel guilty. Maybe she'd tell herself she did the best she could. People are good at rationalizing. And me? I'd rebuild. Slowly. One day at a time. I'd lost my wife. My best friend. 30 years of my life to a lie. But I'd kept my dignity. My truth. And most importantly, I'd kept my children. Not biologically. Biology didn't matter anymore. But in all the ways that counted. Sarah and Michael were mine. And I was theirs. That would have to be enough. 6 months later, I sat in my new apartment, sold the house, couldn't stand being there anymore, and looked at the invitation in my hand. Sarah and Marcus were having a baby, my first grandchild. The invitation was beautiful. Cream-colored cardstock with gold lettering. You're invited to celebrate the upcoming arrival of baby Chen. There was a note attached in Sarah's handwriting. Dad, I want you to be Grandpa. Not Brian. You. Because you earned it. And because this baby will be so lucky to have you. All my love, Sarah. I stared at that note for a long time. Then I called Michael. We'd been having lunch every week, slowly rebuilding our relationship. Hey, Dad, he answered. Now he said it easily. Naturally. Like the past 6 months of struggle hadn't happened. Hey, kiddo. Did you get Sarah's invitation? Yeah. A baby. Can you believe it? We're going to be a grandfather and an uncle. We are. Dad. Michael's voice got serious. I've been thinking about something. About legacy. About what we pass down to the next generation. Okay. Brian gave us his DNA. His genetics. His medical history. But you gave us everything else. Your values. Your work ethic. Your integrity. The way you love. The way you show up. That's what I want to pass down to the next generation. Not the biology. The example. Michael. I'm changing my name. Legally. To Morrison. Really making it official. Because I don't want there to be any question about who my father is. It's you. It's always been you. I had to set the phone down for a moment. Compose myself. You don't have to do that, I finally said. I know, but I want to. You okay with that? Yeah, son. I'm okay with that. After we hung up, I sat in my apartment and thought about how I'd started this journey 9 months ago. Angry, betrayed, determined to destroy everyone who'd lied to me. And I had destroyed them in a way. Jennifer was living in a studio apartment, her real estate career in tatters. Brian had lost his medical license, his marriage, his reputation. Carol was under investigation by her nursing board. But in destroying them, I'd nearly destroyed my relationship with my children too. It was Sarah's grace that saved me, her ability to see past biology to the relationship we'd built, and Michael's eventual understanding that fatherhood was about more than genetics. The DNA didn't lie, but it didn't tell the whole truth either. The whole truth was 28 years of bedtime stories, 25 years of homework help, decades of scraped knees bandaged,